Chapter 2168. This was related to his honor. This was a battle of honor, and that was why he got so many supplies for the base. He was supposed to be the hero of the base, but if he was defeated now, no amount of credit would be as fast as gossip spreading. Ning Shu was determined to let Hu Jingqing know that she wasn't someone he could easily bully. Under Ning Shu's mental power, she knew exactly where Hu Jingqing was hiding, but she wouldn't kill him. Hu Jingqing was a powerful man in the base for a while. The leaders of the base needed people like him to fight off zombies and find supplies for the base. The base was filled with gunshots, which attracted the attention of the leaders. Ning Shu and Hu Jingqing finally stopped, but as punishment, both of them were criticized by the entire base. Under the mediation of the leaders, Ning Shu and Hu Jingqing shook hands and made peace. Hu Jingqing's fingers were scratching Ning Shu's palm. Ning Shu held Hu Jingqing's hand tightly. Did it hurt? Hu Jingqing looked at Ning Shu without any change in his expression. When the two of them went out, they squeezed at the door at the same time. Hu Jingqing smiled and went out first. His knee accidentally brushed against her crotch. Ning Shu thought, what the fuck? Ning Shu caught up with Hu Jingqing in front of her and hit Hu Jingqing's waist with her palm. A wisp of fiery sun energy entered Hu Jingqing's body. Hu Jingqing turned around and looked at Ning Shu. He asked, touching my waist, are you regretting it? Do you want to? Ning Shu laughed and walked past Hu Jingqing. Hu Jingqing squinted his eyes and looked at Ning Shu's back. He touched his lips and laughed. Ning Shu went back to her room and took a shower. There was too much dust on her body, so she had to take a shower. She felt a lot more comfortable after taking a shower. She felt like she was flying when she walked. It felt great. Ning Shu used the law of water to condense some water. After drinking the water, she sat cross-legged on the metal bed and started to cultivate. When it was time to eat, a soldier brought food to Ning Shu. This time, it was even worse. There were only a few pieces of hardtack and no water. The soldier who delivered the food didn't dare to look at Ning Shu with his lustful eyes anymore. Everyone in the base knew that Hu Jingqing and Ji Zheng had fallen out with each other. Ning Shu put the hardtack down and asked, where's the water? There was no more canned food, and now there was no more water. She was forced to drink formalin solution. The soldier said, Captain Hua said that there isn't much water right now. Please hold on for a while. Captain Hua also said that if you want to drink water, you can go to him. He will try his best to give you some. Ning Shu just laughed. She didn't care about Hu Jingqing's methods. Of course, with Hu Jingqing's contributions, it was too easy for him to deal with a small researcher like her. Other people didn't care about this kind of thing, and no one would stand up for her. Now, people couldn't even care about themselves, let alone other people's business. At this time, most people wouldn't blame Hu Jingqing. They would only say that Ning Shu didn't know what was good for her and offended Hu Jingqing. Now, it was normal for him to make things difficult for her. Ning Shu wouldn't go to Hu Jingqing at all. She had water, the power of law, and fasting pills. Ning Shu had already put away her hardtack. Although the hardtack didn't taste very good, it had been stored for a long time. Ning Shu took the vacuum bag from the laboratory and put the hardtack in it to suck out the air. When the client came back, there should be a lot of hardtack. This way, she didn't have to bow down to Hu Jingqing. It wasn't impossible for her to leave the base. There were so many people, and this wasn't the only base. Wouldn't it be too crowded? Food and water were the foundation of survival. Hu Jingqing used this method to make things difficult for her, and no one would say anything. Ning Shu just laughed. After the fight last time, Hu Jingqing didn't make things difficult for Ning Shu. However, every time he saw Ning Shu, he would touch his lips with his fingers and reveal a devilish smile. Ning Shu didn't know what to say. I hope you'll always be like this, Teddy. The research in the laboratory was in a deadlock. There was no way to stop the zombie cells from dividing quickly. There was also no way to cure the infection after being bitten by zombies. Ning Shu wanted the nuclei of the cells to explode automatically. Then, without the genetic material, the cells wouldn't be able to divide. Some drugs were injected into the cells, but it was useless. Using poison to fight poison, injecting heavy metals or reflective substances would only make the cells more mutated. Instead of doing research like this, it was better to drive the zombies to a place throw a bomb, and quickly solve the problem. Simple and efficient. Although that was what Ning Shu thought, she couldn't say it out loud. After all, the ideal of researchers was to use technology to conquer the world. Ning Shu thought that she would stay in the laboratory forever. She didn't expect Hu Jingqing to report that he would take Ning Shu with him when he went out for a mission. The reason was that Ji Xiang was so good at the research. It was a waste of talent to stay in the laboratory and fiddle with test tubes. It was better to kill some zombies with him. When Ning Shu received the order, her first reaction was that Hu Jingqing still wanted to sleep with her. He was always coveting her, but anything could happen once they were out of the base. Ning Shu felt that Hu Jingqing still didn't have enough yang energy in his body. It was still too slow for him to become a eunuch. Ning Shu changed into a clean set of clothes and carried a backpack. There were many things in the backpack, such as sulfuric acid and some irritating chemicals. Don't mess with me. Ning Shu arrived outside the base. Hu Jingqing was talking to his subordinates. When he saw Ning Shu come out with a backpack, he even reached out his hand to greet Ning Shu. Hi. Ning Shu also said, "You want to sleep with me? Maybe you don't even know who died in the hands of the zombies." Ning Shu climbed onto the truck and stood with the other soldiers. When they saw a man with red lips and white teeth going out on a mission with them, most people thought that this guy would drag them down. Although he had the power to fight with the boss, it didn't mean that the boss didn't deliberately let him go to make it more interesting. The boss brought him this time to prevent him from being lonely on the road. Everyone looked at Ning Shu with subtle expressions. Ning Shu pretended not to see them. Everyone seemed to think of him as Hu Jingqing's accessory. The weak were the accessories of the strong. This was Ning Shu's first time out of the base. He looked at the surrounding scenery. The sky was full of dust. The trees on the roadside were covered with a thick layer of dust. There was a lot of dust in the air. Breathing in this kind of air was bad for the lungs. It could lead to lung cancer. Even if humans weren't killed by zombies, they could be killed by the harsh environment. Chapter 2169. Ning Shu felt that the plane was about to shatter. She was groaning. Ning Shu took out a mask and put it on. She wanted to absorb as little haze as possible so that it would be less harmful to her body. The other team members saw that Ning Shu was wearing a mask and looked at her with disdain. She was a weakling in the laboratory after all. She was so picky that she even wore a mask to fight zombies. Ning Shu felt that these people were suffering because of their pride. It was as if wearing a mask made them less powerful. What kind of logic was that? Hu Jingqing kept staring at Ning Shu. Ning Shu tried her best to ignore the way he looked at her as if she was his prey. She guessed that his inner OS was saying, "You've caught my attention." The team was quite far away from the base. Their purpose was to search for resources, but more importantly, to find a clean water source. If they found a clean water source, the base might even move to a nearby water source. There were very few places with clean water in the apocalypse. The river water was dirty and dark. It seemed that everything that could be polluted had already been polluted. She felt like she was at the end of the road. There was a vulgar and cliché saying that the last drop of clean water in the world was our own tears. It was a falsehood, and now it had been realized. If the environment could not be improved, humans would definitely go extinct. Perhaps after humans went extinct, the plane could repair itself. After a long period of self-repair, the creatures could evolve again. Perhaps this zombie was the self-repair of the heavenly Tao. But now that a space had appeared, the development of the situation took a turn. If this plane collapsed, the garbage produced would have a huge impact on the surrounding planes. At this time, people who specialized in garbage collection would be needed to deal with it. With her ability, she was not even qualified to be a garbage collector. Ning Shu beat her chest. What a sad thing. Even a garbage collector was stronger than her. Ning Shu's inner OS exploded. She ignored Hu Jingqing's gaze. Go fuck yourself. The smell of human flesh and blood attracted zombies. These zombies rushed towards the truck. Not only did they not care about the zombies, but the drivers also drove past them. They either ran over the zombies or knocked them far away and then got up and rushed towards the truck. Ning Shu smashed the zombie's head off with a stick. He was reluctant to use a bullet to blow its head off. Bullets had to be kept, and shooting the zombies' heads was like playing golf. Zombies without brains have no ability to move. This means that zombies still need their brains to move. I should go back and study the brains of zombies. Perhaps it was because of their sense of smell. They relied on the smell of flesh and blood to act instinctively. Ning Shu smashed the heads of the zombies with his stick, but he still left the heads in the truck. After getting through the zombie wave, Ning Shu took out a pair of surgical gloves and a scalpel, preparing to dissect the zombies' brains. Team members, at this scene, seeing Ning Shu calmly cut open the zombie's head, revealing the smooth, grayish-white skull, everyone felt like vomiting. The feeling of killing zombies and dissecting zombies was different. It was like killing a person and then dissecting the person. Ning Shu took out a small saw and turned it on. The small saw spun quickly. Ning Shu placed the saw on the skull and cut it into a square. Finally, he opened the skull and revealed the grayish-white brain. Everyone couldn't stand it anymore. They all turned their heads. This was too disgusting. The brain of a normal person was white, but the brain of a zombie was grayish-white. It was in a state of decay but not decay. It was similar to the brains dissected in the laboratory. Perhaps there was still energy running in the brain, emitting bioelectricity. However, it needed the body to function. Instead of thinking about how to exterminate the zombies, it was better to think about how to prevent the virus from spreading in the body so that people who were bitten by zombies could be treated and not turn into zombies. It was easy to let her kill zombies, but to do research, Ning Shu's claws were numb. To some extent, it was also a case of humans eating their own medicine. Humans turning into monsters to destroy other humans. This was more ridiculous than monsters destroying humans. Ning Shu used the scalpel to remove the brain. There was no blood. Without blood to transport the nutrients the body needed, how could the zombies live? Everyone around, Wretch, Ning Shu studied for a while, threw the zombie's head out of the truck, disinfected the tools, put them in the box, and then sat down. The people sitting next to Ning Shu silently moved away from her. Killing zombies wasn't a skill, but fiddling with the zombie's brain without batting an eyelid showed that she was mentally strong. Were all researchers like this? On the way, they encountered a few more waves of zombies. Ning Shu observed that the zombies' strength was about the same. They moved slowly and their bodies were rotten. There were no mutations such as increasing their speed or other mutations. If that was the case, then humans would be cut like chives by the zombies. This should be considered a good news. They were afraid that the enemy's firepower would suddenly increase, and they would stay where they were. The sky slowly darkened. At night, humans' vision would be blocked, but zombies' sense of smell would not be affected, especially if they spent the night outside. Ning Shu saw that Hu Jingqing was still staring at her. She couldn't help but want to cover her butt. This bastard didn't want to have sex with her in front of the zombies, did he? While looking for a place to spend the night, they met a group of people. This group of people was driving a somewhat dilapidated van. The van was very dirty, and there was some unknown filth on it. Perhaps it was the brains of zombies, or perhaps it was something else. At this moment, these people were very excited when they saw several large trucks. They waved their hands and asked the trucks to stop. Ning Shu looked at these people, and they were all very embarrassed. In the end, Ning Shu's eyes fixed on a man. This man was wearing a dirty cotton t-shirt and a silver cross necklace. His face was ordinary and could be considered delicate, but now he looked a little embarrassed. He wore a cross and said that he was a Taoist, but he didn't know what to say. He should also wear a Tai Chi diagram or a yin-yang mirror. It would look more like a Taoist. Ning Shu looked at Hu Jingqing. Hu Jingqing would probably stop. After all, these two people were the official match. According to the rules of the team, they wouldn't bring strange people on missions. She didn't know what made Hu Jingqing look at them and accept them safely. This bastard was here. How was she going to deal with the thousands of soldiers in the space? There were no soldiers. Should she just kill him? Ning Shu said to 2333, "Can't we just kill him? I want to fight with him. The longer he lasts, the more power he will accumulate. Let's wait for the space to separate." 2333 said. Ning Shu rolled her eyes. She felt that 2333 wanted to accumulate power in the space so that he could absorb more power. Chapter 2170. 2333 was trying to slowly erase the host's luck. When the host was no longer of any help to the space would leave the host. Besides, the space still had a lot of power. However, she had to think about how to kill the other party. Ning Shu felt a little bitter. Ping and Shun walked under the truck and seemed to see that Hu Jingqing was the leader. He looked up and said to Hu Jingqing, "We have some supplies in the truck. Please take us with you. Our car is broken." Hearing Ping and Shun say that they had supplies, the people in the same group immediately glared at him. In the apocalypse, a bottle of water and a pack of biscuits were precious. Why did he say that? Everyone was cursing, and some of them even wanted to rush up and beat Ping and Shun up. However, when they saw Ping and Shun's cold face and how he killed zombies on the way, they didn't dare to do anything. Ping and Shun thought that these people were idiots. In the apocalypse, people were cold. People wouldn't help you for no reason. Plus, Ping and Shun really didn't care about the supplies in the van. Because he had a lot of space, he could not only store zombies, but also supplies. He had a lot of supplies in his space, almost as much as a small supermarket. Most of them were food and some daily necessities. In order to prevent accidents, Ping and Shun also stored a lot of oil. If it weren't for the van, Ping and Shun would have gotten rid of these people long ago. Plus, he was the one who killed zombies along the way. These idiots were complaining all kinds of things, which made him feel irritated. Now, he met someone who seemed to be stronger. Ping and Shun wanted to follow this group and develop in a bigger base. He didn't want to travel with these idiots anymore. Hu Jingqing looked at the man from top to bottom. Hu Jingqing definitely didn't care about the supplies. At most, it was some water, biscuits, and fast food. Hu Jingqing wanted to find a big supermarket to buy. However, Hu Jingqing thought that this man was really interesting. He just looked a little ordinary. He couldn't be compared to the red lips and white teeth of Ji Ziang. Fortunately, he had a slender body and was full of confidence. To be able to be so confident in the apocalypse, he obviously had some skills. Looking at the old van, there were 7 or 8 people. Zombies usually moved out in groups. Normally, when they smelled humans, they would swarm over. It was not easy for such a small van to travel so far. There must be something extraordinary about this team. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to escape the encirclement of zombies time and time again. Ping and Shun's team had a grudge against Ping and Shun, but they didn't dare to fight him. Hu Jingqing focused his attention on Ping and Shun. It seemed that this ordinary-looking man was in charge of this team. Hu Jingqing suddenly wanted to tease him. "You gave us everything, but your team didn't agree to it at all. Besides, we're a team from the base, so we won't accept other random people. Who knows if you're from another base and want to know the situation in our base?" In the post-apocalyptic world, zombies were not the only ones who would attack cities. If the conditions of a base were good, other bases would also try to take it for themselves. Bases with water sources were especially popular in everyone's eyes. Everyone wanted to have a piece of it. Water pollution was very serious now. Some water couldn't be 100% safe even after being filtered and purified. The process was very complicated, so it wasn't worth it to purify. Ping and Shun immediately said, "I'm definitely not from another base. We're escapees. During our escape, we were lucky enough to come across a supermarket. There were some supplies in the van, but we're in the van now. Please accept us. We can fight zombies on our own. We won't be a burden." Hu Jingqing shook his head. "The van is so small. How many supplies can there be? I don't even care about those supplies. Besides, my teammates are too weak. If they drag us down, the whole team will be wiped out. I have to be responsible for my teammates." Hu Jingqing was telling the truth. They were very far away from the base now. It was impossible for them to run back for these people. However, if they had to bring these people along, they would have to work together again. Who knew if these people would be troublesome? Therefore, no matter how one looked at it, bringing these people along was not a wise decision. It was a hot-headed decision. Hu Jingqing watched with great interest as this man tried to convince himself. Ning Shu looked on coldly. Usually, Hu Jingqing was very patient when it came to things that interested him. Now, he was interested in Ping and Shun. It was good that they met. She didn't want Hu Jingqing to disturb her all the time. She didn't have the time and energy to push Hu Jingqing to the ground. Ping and Shun raised his head and looked at the man who was looking down at him. His eyes were burning with a little bit of light. Being stared at by him like this, Ping and Shun felt his whole body tremble uncontrollably. Even his face couldn't help but heat up. Fortunately, his face was dark and covered in dust. Otherwise, he would be embarrassed by a man. There were so many people around, so it would be a joke. Ping and Shun took a deep breath and raised his head to look at Hu Jingqing. I know of a big supermarket. There are a lot of supplies inside. Hu Jingqing saw Ping and Shun's expression and felt a burst of joy. This was a man of the same kind, and a man who liked men. This discovery made Hu Jingqing very happy. Moreover, he had obtained a supermarket with supplies so quickly, which made Hu Jingqing happy. Hu Jingqing's expression was very cold. I don't know how far the supermarket you mentioned is from here, and I don't know if you're lying. Ping and Shun immediately said, You can take me with you. If you find out that I'm lying, you can shoot me. I won't say anything. You're very smart. You used this method to get me to take you in. Hu Jingqing smiled and reached out his hand. Grab my hand and get on. Ping and Shun looked at Hu Jingqing's big hand and actually swallowed a mouthful of saliva nervously. Ping and Shun despised himself in his heart. He was also a man. Why was he so nervous when he saw a man? His heart was about to jump out. Ping and Shun was pulled into the truck by Hu Jingqing. When the others saw Ping and Shun get into the truck, they immediately shouted, What about us? What about us? Hu Jingqing looked at these people's anxious expressions and said coldly, Our team doesn't accept useless people. You can keep the supplies and food in your car for your own use. We don't want them either, but don't even think about getting on our car. It was obvious that these people were not obedient. One of them was dressed in a suit and wore an expensive watch. It was obvious that he was an elite. Chapter 2171. If they put these people in the team, they would drag the team to death. Not to mention, the lives of people in the apocalypse were worthless. Even if they died, they wouldn't feel anything. One of the men in the team suddenly scolded, Which base are you from? How can you be so cruel? Aren't all the bases calling for humans to unite and move to the base? Is this how you treat people who want to go to your base? Yeah, this is outrageous. No, you can't leave today. Hu Jingqing's face turned serious. Who do you think you are? How dare you challenge me? Did I tell you to go to our base? So what if our base doesn't take you in? People like you are nothing but parasites in our base. You want to use public opinion to suppress us? Dream on. You are too arrogant. The people in the team saw Hu Jingqing's firm attitude and didn't know what to say. People bullied the weak and feared the strong. When the other party was firm, these people softened. They almost begged, We won't cause trouble for the team. Our car broke down. If we can't find the base, the consequences would be unimaginable. Moreover, the sky was getting dark. It was even more dangerous at night. Zombies could appear from all over the place. Staying overnight in the wild was a dead end, especially for people like them. Hu Jingqing's expression didn't change. Some people saw that Hu Jingqing couldn't get through, so they turned to Ping and Shun. Some people scolded Ping and Shun for being greedy. Some people said nice things to Ping and Shun, saying that they had supported and encouraged each other along the way. In short, they wanted Ping and Shun to beg for mercy and let them get on the car. Ping and Shun wouldn't agree. It wasn't easy for him to get on the car, and he even signed a military order. He only got on the car because he had something valuable on him. He didn't even have a firm foothold in the team, so how could he beg for mercy for these people? What if this burly and cold man threw him off the car too? When he thought of this man holding his hand, his fingers gently scratched his palm, bringing a numbing feeling. Half of Ping and Shun's body was numb. Ping and Shun frowned and didn't say anything. These people cursed at Ping and Shun, but Ping and Shun just pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Some daring people even climbed up. If they continued to stay like this, they would definitely die. A little bit of supplies was nothing at all. They could just give it to these people. Huo Zhengqing sneered and took out his gun to shoot the people who wanted to climb into the car. The sound of gunshots calmed the rioting people down. Looking at the people lying on the ground with their heads blown open, their lips trembled. For a moment, the scene was dead silent. No one dared to rashly go up, especially when they saw that the other party was actually playing for real. If you have the ability, go to the base and complain about me. The premise is that you can reach the base. Huo Zhengqing blew on the muzzle of the gun and sneered. The few cars started moving slowly. A few people stared blankly at the cars driving away. Finally, they came to their senses and chased after the trucks. Some people who couldn't run directly knelt on the ground, and some people wailed loudly. Ning Shu looked at these people who had become small dots and didn't say anything. She didn't have the right to make decisions in this team. If she said anything, Huo Zhengqing might kick her out of the car. Ning Shu just hung high. She couldn't even control her own fate, let alone save people. If she wanted to save people, it would be better to kill a few more zombies. That way, no one would be bitten by this zombie, and no more zombies would appear. Huo Zhengqing gave Ping and Shun a bottle of water. Ping and Shun immediately took it and thanked him. Huo Zhengqing sat next to Ping and Shun. Ping and Shun moved to the side. Huo Zhengqing smiled and moved to Ping and Shun's side. Ping and Shun was speechless. Huo Zhengqing's aura made it impossible for Ping and Shun to open the bottle. He was very nervous. Huo Zhengqing raised his eyebrows. I can't open it. He took the bottle from Ping and Shun and opened it for him. Ping and Shun said, "Thank you." "What did you say?" "Louder." Huo Zhengqing moved closer to Ping and Shun. "I can't hear you." Ping and Shun blushed and said loudly, "Thank you." Huo Zhengqing dug his ears. "That's more like it. You were so quiet. I thought you didn't eat." The crowd was speechless. Was it really okay to flirt with someone in front of so many people? Of course, there were also a lot of people who looked at Ning Shu with subtle expressions. Now that he had a new lover, what should he do with his old lover? Ning Shu felt that these people's gazes were mixed with pity and gloating. It was really strange that they were here to gossip. He and Huo Zhengqing had never had any friction. These people's brains were filled with trash. Huo Zhengqing also looked at Ning Shu and raised his eyebrows. It seemed that he wanted to make Ning Shu jealous. Ning Shu looked at Ping and Shun. Right now, Ping and Shun's strength shouldn't be that strong. The space didn't take in many zombies. This probably had something to do with the host's spiritual power. Right now, they couldn't take in a lot of zombies at once. Otherwise, Ping and Shun's head would explode. Right now, Ping and Shun should be easier to deal with. In the future, Ping and Shun could summon a lot of zombies with a wave of her hand. It would be so scary. Not to mention fighting, he didn't even have the confidence to look at it. Ping and Shun felt Ning Shu's gaze and looked back at her. In the eyes of outsiders, it was like seeing a love rival with red eyes. In the eyes of the people around them, the two of them looked at each other like this, including Huo Zhengqing. Huo Zhengqing suddenly felt that it wasn't bad to have such a person to stimulate Ji Xiang. Otherwise, he would always rely on his love for Ji Xiang to do whatever he wanted. Now that there was such a person who could make him feel a sense of crisis, wasn't it good? Huo Zhengqing was happy that the two of them were messing around. The premise was that it wouldn't affect the search for supplies. Ning Shu looked at Ping and Shun with a calm gaze. There was no resentment or hatred. To Ning Shu, Ping and Shun was a stranger. She was here to work for someone else. Therefore, they were on opposite sides. On the other hand, Ping and Shun felt a bit of hostility towards Ning Shu. Perhaps it was because he was the most beautiful man in the car. Everyone else was covered in dirt, but this guy was actually red-faced and gentle. Also, when this cold and evil man came into contact with her, everyone in the car looked at him. He probably had an indescribable relationship with the leader of this team. "Leader, it's getting dark. Let's find a place to stay." A team member broke the silence in the car and asked Huo Zhengqing. Huo Zhengqing looked at Ping and Shun and asked, "Where is the supermarket you mentioned?" Chapter 2172. Before they went on a mission, the base would give them a map. There were marked places on the map that had supplies. These places could be supermarkets or food factories. As for where the map came from, it was said that the base got it from a satellite. Their base used to be a military base, so it was relatively powerful. The military satellite could still receive signals. If they were close enough, they could go and take a look. If there were really supplies in the supermarket, they could return with a full load. It's not far from here. It's just a little remote. It's the biggest supermarket in the town. Ping and Shun said. Hu Jingqing got closer to Ping and Shun. If it's so remote, how did you know? I escaped from there and got on that car. But the car broke down on the way, and then I met you guys. I hope you're not lying to me. Hu Jingqing reached out and pinched Ping and Shun's neck. He didn't pinch hard, but his rough thumb stroked Ping and Shun's neck. Ping and Shun's neck turned red all the way to his hair. The thin callous skin made his skin tremble. Ning Shu was speechless. Hu Jingqing was flirting again, riding the wind and breaking the waves. As long as he didn't harass her, it was fine. Seeing the two of them together, Ning Shu was very happy. Let the two of them be lovey-dovey. She only needed to focus on her own matters. Go to the supermarket. We'll travel through the night. Hu Jingqing looked at his watch. Forget it, let's take a break. Traveling through the night would be very tiring. If there were zombies attacking at this time, fatigue would increase the casualties. Hu Jingqing cherished these team members very much. They were also the foundation of his base. Okay. Next, they found a place to stay. They stopped at a gas station to refuel the truck. Then, they took a large bottle of clinker and put the remaining oil in the car. These things were as precious as food. Without oil, the car couldn't move. Everyone stayed at the gas station. There was a small supermarket next to the gas station. The supermarket was in a mess, and there was no food on the shelves. Everyone was mentally prepared. Seeing that there was no food, they weren't disappointed at all. They took out the food they brought with them and started eating. Ning Shu also took out some biscuits and some water from his bag and sat down to eat. Hu Jingqing gave Ping and some soft packaged bread. He sat beside him and asked, "How far are we from the supermarket?" Ping moved to the side. The way Hu Jingqing looked at him made his heart tremble. Ning Shu wasn't hungry at all. He ate a little to deceive others, and then leaned against the wall to sleep. In fact, he was cultivating. The team members all found a place to rest before changing shifts. Ning Shu, who was cultivating, felt very bitter. The air was really too turbid, to the point where it was unbearable. Would this planet become a planet that carried all the garbage in the future? The oxygen content was getting lower and lower. It wouldn't be long before this plane became uninhabitable. Then what was the use of a counterattack? Oh, perhaps it wasn't suitable for humans, but if the entire plane was purified, perhaps humans would be one of those purified. This was a little awkward. Ning Shu scanned the entire gas station with his spiritual power. The situation of the entire gas station was under Ning Shu's nose. Seeing Hu Jingqing and Ping An's ambiguous look, Ning Shu's eyes burned. Showing off love was a quick death. Fortunately, they didn't do that at the gas station. They probably took advantage of the time on the road to flirt with Ping An. When they returned to the base, they would definitely do it with Ping An. According to Hu Jingqing's powerful flirtation, Ping An was almost a turtle in a jar. Sure enough, there was nowhere to run. Although there were people on night watch, because it was night, Ning Shu still released his spiritual power to check the surroundings to prevent wandering zombies from sneaking up on them. Ning Shu absorbed the power of the fiery sun. There was no sunlight at night, and the fiery sun's energy was very weak. In addition, this plane itself was lacking in yang energy. Ning Shu cultivated for a long time, but there was basically no effect at all. It was simply a mess. "Boss, there are zombies." The team member reported to Hu Jingqing and vaguely heard the roar of zombies. They probably smelled the scent of humans and came here. The sound was getting closer and closer. Hu Jingqing's expression was dignified. It was night now, and there were many restrictions on combat. Although zombies moved slowly, they were very strong. If they were caught by zombies, few could escape. Get up and be on guard. there are zombies surrounding us. Hu Jingqing said loudly. The team members who were still resting with their eyes closed opened their eyes in a second and took the guns and weapons in their hands. Ning Shu took a knife and a gun in his right hand. Ning Shu used his spiritual power to scan Ping An's expression in the dark. Ping An wasn't very nervous, which was very different from the vigilant and dignified people around her. In fact, the zombies were sending soldiers to Ping An. One came, one would be taken, and two would be taken. Moreover, the zombies in the space could be released to fight with the zombies. The zombies were getting closer and closer, with a strong smell of corrosion. The turbid air was mixed with a foul smell. This was the air of the apocalypse. Hu Jingqing took the lead and blasted the head of a zombie. The other zombies rushed over. Because it was dark, they could only rely on flashlights to illuminate the area. They didn't know exactly how many zombies there were. Ning Shu used his spiritual power to scan the area and felt that there were quite a lot of zombies this time. They were very ferocious and rushed over without fear of death. They were dominated by hunger. Ning Shu chopped off the head of a zombie that rushed over with a knife. He even turned on the small electric drill and sawed off the zombie's neck. Ning Shu had been paying attention to Ping An. When zombies rushed in front of him, he used his gun to shoot them. Then, some zombies disappeared into thin air. They were probably taken into his space. With the gun given by Hu Jingqing and the space's absorption ability, Ping An managed to withstand the zombies, but it was a bit difficult. Ning Shu approached Ping An and saw zombies appear around Ping An. These zombies didn't attack Ping An, but rushed towards the other zombies. Ning Shu just watched. It was good to let these zombies kill the other zombies, but he didn't know what kind of power the space used to make these zombies obedient and attack the other zombies. Moreover, the instinct of zombies was to eat meat, so the space could control their instincts. Oh, this space was a bit awesome. Ning Shu wore a mask and killed the zombies with all his might. The zombies that had been baptized by the space were stronger than ordinary zombies. At least they knew how to kill the enemy with skills. They were much better than the zombies that waved their hands and opened their mouths to bite people. They didn't care about the situation at all. Unfortunately, the space didn't have good intentions. Chapter 2173. That's right, a pie falling from the sky is either poisonous or smashing to death. And those who are chosen by the space are undoubtedly the lucky ones, making them more beautiful than the average person, more powerful than the average person, and receive the worship of the world. But the space has a purpose. The scene was very bloody, broken limbs and broken bones, Ning Shu killed without any psychological burden. Anyway, these are all dead people, and there is no soul in the body, they are just walking corpses. Ning Shu's spiritual power has been locked on the several zombies released by Ping and Shun. Seeing these zombies twist off the heads of other zombies, Ning Shu felt that he has never seen such a rare scene in his life. Because of the night, everyone is concentrating on killing the enemy. The actions of these zombies did not attract people's attention. If they are distracted, they will be scratched and bitten by the zombies. How can they dare to be distracted in this situation? Several team members were sacrificed, their intestines were torn and their stomachs were torn apart by the zombies. Not even a complete body was left. There are also team members who were scratched. As long as they are scratched, they are basically declared that they are no longer human and are gradually on the road to zombies. After a difficult battle, fortunately, the zombies were slowly cleaned up. Ping and Shun saw that the battle was about to end, so he let the zombies come back. Ning Shu raised his gun and directly shot a few times, directly exploding the heads of the zombies. Ping and Shun's expression was frozen, and the word was stuck in his throat. Ning Shu said to Ping and Shun, "I saw those zombies coming for you, so I killed them first." Ping and Shun's face twitched, and the whole person was not very good. Facing Ning Shu's eager eyes, Ping and Shun's mouth was like biting a bitter gall. If he said that these zombies would not kill him, wouldn't this arouse people's suspicion? Before he has a firm foothold, Ping and Shun will not easily show his talent. What if he is caught and studied by others? It is said that these viruses were created by those scientists. They studied this, then studied this, then studied this, then came up with something. If he wants to take a zombie into his body, he will be tired as if his body is hollowed out, very tired. There are not many zombies in his space, and now several have been killed. Ping and Shun's heart is very sad. What happened to you? Ning Shu looked at Ping and Shun's complexion as if he had been constipated for 2 months and asked with concern, "Are you all right? Were you bitten?" "I didn't," Ping and Shun said. Thank you, you killed my zombies and I still have to thank you. This feeling is really fucking ridiculous. Hu Jingqing got rid of all the team members who had been scratched or bitten by zombies. There was no luck in getting infected. Killing them directly could prevent them from becoming zombies, and they wouldn't have to suffer the pain. Hu Jingqing's hand that was holding the gun was shaking. In the end, he closed his eyes and killed the infected team member. "What are you talking about?" Hu Jingqing turned around and saw Ning Shu standing peacefully with him. He walked over and asked. Hu Jingqing's voice was a little hoarse, and there was a hint of sobbing in it. "It's nothing. This guy killed some zombies for me." Ping An said to Hu Jingqing. This feeling was too fucking bitter. It was not easy to collect these zombies, and it would take a long time for them to become obedient zombies. It didn't mean that they would instantly become obedient zombies as soon as they entered the space. His heart ached. Hu Jingqing glanced at Ning Shu. Seeing that she was clean, he wondered if Ping and Shun was telling the truth. However, being able to survive a battle was also a skill. Hu Jingqing didn't expect to suffer losses as soon as they came out. He felt a little depressed. Although coming out meant that there would be casualties, sometimes if they were lucky, they could come back in one piece without suffering any casualties. Hu Jingqing glanced at Ping and Shun. They were attacked by zombies because they came here. Moreover, there were so many zombies. Could it be that the supermarket was fake? Many supermarkets were empty, but there was a supermarket with a lot of supplies here. Hu Jingqing was in a bad mood, and so was Ping and Shun. Ning Shu saw that the two bosses were looking at her with a secretive look on their faces. She walked away quietly and gave them a chance to flirt. Hu Jingqing approached Ping and Shun, and Ping and Shun retreated. In the end, he leaned against the wall and couldn't retreat. Hu Jingqing put his hand on the wall behind Ping and Shun. "You better have something in the supermarket you mentioned. Otherwise, you know the consequences." Ping and Shun pushed Hu Jingqing away. "It's up to you whether you want to believe me or not." "Why would I lie to you? What good would it do me to lie to you? Don't blame me for your teammates' deaths. Besides, there are zombies everywhere. Wouldn't you be surrounded by zombies if you went somewhere else?" Ping and Shun knew that Hu Jingqing was venting his anger on him because of his team member's death. However, he was still angry. Who could he vent his anger on? However, he knew that he had to follow the team. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to reach the base alone. Ping and Shun adjusted his tone and said, "Do you know why there are so many supplies here? It's because there are so many zombies here. Zombies don't eat human food, so the supplies in the supermarket can be preserved. So, it's not easy for us to come here?" Hu Jingqing raised Ping and Shun's chin. "Then why didn't you tell us the details before?" Ping and Shun asked back, "Won't you run into zombies when you go out?" The world is full of zombies now. No matter where you go, there will be zombies. Do I need to tell you? You have a sharp tongue. Hu Jingqing touched Ping and Shun's lips with his finger and stared at his lips. "You missed the best opportunity for me to trust you. Is there something you haven't told me?" Hu Jingqing played with Ping and Shun's lips. "You better tell me the truth. Otherwise, you'll be very unlucky." Ping and Shun's heart tightened. He thought that Hu Jingqing was talking about him being able to release zombies. He shook his head and said, "No, I'm not hiding anything from you." Hu Jingqing's hand slid down to Ping and Shun's butt and pinched it. "Don't let me find out that you have any thoughts of dying. I'll make sure you die in a very rhythmic way." Ning Shu, who was eavesdropping, clap, 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 clap rhythm. Because of the loss of one of their team members, the atmosphere in the team was a bit low. Everyone was not in a very good mood. Hu Jingqing gathered everyone together and said that they would run into more zombies. It might be a dense zombie attack, so he asked if they should continue walking. Although they had to obey the orders of their superiors, Hu Jingqing still wanted to ask the team members if they should continue walking. He wanted everyone to be mentally prepared. They might even lose a lot and not gain anything in the end. Chapter 2174. Ning Shu didn't have any objections. Since the two main characters were here, all he had to do was follow in their footsteps. Those who died would be cannon fodder. In this team, Ning Shu and Ping and Shun didn't have the right to speak. If he objected, Hua Jingqing might just kick him out and kick him out. He wasn't really asking for his opinion. If he had any opinions, he could just keep them to himself. Outside, it wasn't the base, so Hua Jingqing could do whatever he wanted. Even if Ning Shu died, he could just go back to the base and say that he died. No one would investigate. Too many people died every day during the apocalypse. They had to investigate one by one. Moreover, they weren't important people. Ping and Shun didn't say anything because he was a newcomer. He didn't have the right to speak. Everyone discussed for a while and decided to move forward. Now that there were fewer and fewer resources, they had to pay a price to get more resources. Everyone could only try their best to survive being surrounded by zombies. Ning Shu followed the team. The next morning, the team left the gas station and went to the supermarket that Ping and Shun mentioned. On the way, they encountered wandering zombies. There were still a lot of zombies in this place. There were zombies on the streets and in all kinds of buildings. Ning Shu couldn't help but look at Ping and Shun. To be able to escape from such a place, the protagonist's halo must be shining. Could it be that he turned invisible so that the zombies couldn't see him? It was impossible to not see him. He had to hide his scent so that the zombies couldn't find him. Hey, Ning Shu found a new way to deal with zombies. That was to put a thin layer of invisible barrier on his body. This way, the zombies couldn't smell him. He hid his scent. He really praised himself for being quick-witted. The barrier couldn't be seen by the naked eye. This way, he had a much higher chance of surviving under the siege of zombies. Sure enough, being in a daze was the best way to think. The thin barrier covered Ning Shu's body so that the zombies couldn't detect his scent. Even if the zombies walked in front of him, the zombies wouldn't notice him. It wouldn't matter if he went deep into the zombie crowd. But the problem was, if he behaved differently, would it be noticed by others? She didn't need to set up a barrier. It wasn't like she couldn't defeat zombies. Seeing that there was a car coming, zombies from all directions rushed to this side. Be alert and prepare for battle, Hua Jingqing said in a deep voice. He held a submachine gun in his hand. This type of gun had a long range, so it was good for dealing with zombies. In addition to guns, there were also bombs. They were miniature bombs, but they were very precious. There were a lot of bullets, but these miniature bombs could no longer be produced. Every time they were used, there would be one less. Unless it was a last resort, they wouldn't use them. Ning Shu also held a gun and shot at the zombie's head. The zombie's brain directly burst open. Even if its head burst open, the zombie's body was still lying on the ground twitching. It wanted to get up but couldn't. These zombies were really tenacious. Ping and Shun also fired, but he probably didn't have any training. His gun skills weren't very good, and most of his shots hit the zombie's body. This kind of injury was nothing to the zombies. Even if the zombies had their hands cut off and their intestines spilled out, they could still run. Seeing that there was a zombie in front of Ping and Shun that was about to climb into the car, Ning Shu hit the zombie's head. The zombie's brain burst open and splashed on Ping and Shun's face. Ping and Shun quickly wiped the brain and took the time to thank Ning Shu. However, his face didn't look like he was thanking Ning Shu, because his face didn't look good. After dodging a wave of zombies, the car sped up and headed to the destination. Ping and Shun sat down weakly. He quickly wet a handkerchief with water and wiped the brain on his face. He didn't know if it was a psychological effect, but he felt that the zombie's brain was stinky. He didn't know if he would be infected by the virus. Hua Jingqing saw Ping and Shun's pale face and couldn't help but laugh. As long as there were no wounds, he wouldn't be infected by the zombies. Ning Shu loaded the gun and sneered in his heart. Even if Ping and Shun was bitten by a zombie, the space would suppress the virus for him. Ping and Shun wouldn't become a zombie. The car bumped a bit. More zombies were coming. There were already so many zombies before they reached the destination. When they returned, there would be a lot more zombies attacking them. Huo Jingqing's face became more and more serious. He was full of hostility. He was especially fierce when he was fighting the zombies. His shooting was very accurate, and he took one head after another. Ning Shu thought about it and set up a shallow invisible enchantment on her body. If the zombies caught her, even if there was a way to suppress the virus, she would be killed by Huo Jingqing on the spot. Moreover, if she controlled the virus, the base would definitely ask her to hand over the method to control the virus. What if she couldn't hand it over? There were so many troublesome things to deal with. This world relied on unity to survive. Individual strength couldn't survive at all. If it was a peaceful time, she wouldn't work for them anymore. She would find another job to support herself, but the conditions didn't allow her to do so. She still had to figure out a way to deal with the zombies. She felt stifled. Ning Shu thought that it was possible to save this world, but it wouldn't take long for everything to be purified. The most important purpose of her counterattack should be to solve this space that wanted to swallow this broken plane of heaven. This space wanted to form its own world and control all the creatures in the plane. It was the first time he saw such an ambitious system. It wanted to form its own world, while other systems wanted to plunder luck like a thief. The more daring a person was, the bigger their appetite. It was also suitable for this space. Under the siege of zombies, they almost didn't have a chance to breathe. When they finally could breathe, Huo Jingqing asked Ping and Shun, "Why are there so many zombies here?" Ping and Shun shook her head and said, "It's probably because the transportation here isn't very developed." Ning Shu also felt that this place was quite desolate, except for a road that led to the outside. "You're from here?" Huo Jingqing asked Ping and Shun. Ping and Shun nodded. "I'm from here, but I escaped." Ning Shu used his spiritual power to scan Ping and Shun's body to see if there were any traces of zombie scratches or bites on Ping and Shun's body. So many zombies were able to escape. Even if he had the protagonist's aura, he couldn't kill zombies with his gaze and let zombies explode their heads. Ning Shu saw that there seemed to be some bite marks on his thighs and shoulders, but they were covered by his clothes. This situation made Ning Shu think more. Ping and Shun had been bitten by zombies before, but now he was like a normal person. Chapter 2175. What if he started from there? Ning Shu was in a daze again. The car drove to the entrance of a supermarket. The supermarket was really big and had several floors. Zombies were wandering around the entrance. When they saw people, they surrounded them. There were no people here, only zombies. How could zombies survive if they couldn't replenish their body's energy? In short, zombies were quite unscientific. They weren't zombies that absorbed the essence of the sun and the moon, nor were they ghosts. They were just rotten corpses that were supported by some kind of power. All the team members got out of the car and took out their guns to shoot the zombies at the entrance of the supermarket. Then they walked into the supermarket. There were a lot of supplies in the supermarket. The shelves were full of goods, but some of the shelves were knocked to the ground by zombies. The vegetables and fruits were rotten. Some of the meat was eaten by the zombies wandering in the supermarket. There were some zombies in the supermarket's uniform. There were security guards, men and women. Ning Shu saw that there were clothes, so he stuffed 2 pairs of underwear into his pocket. Then he and the other team members moved the supplies into the truck. Ning Shu was quite strong, so she moved things very quickly. She made several trips. Whenever there were zombies, she would sweep them away, and their brains would explode. There were a lot of supplies in the supermarket. Several trucks were full, but they weren't finished. Huo Jingqing looked at the remaining supplies and felt distressed. He couldn't wait to put all the supplies into the trucks. However, he couldn't pretend anymore. There was nothing he could do. He could only go back to the base, unload the supplies, and drive a few more trucks. Ning Shu saw that Ping and Shun was stuffing things into his space when he was moving things. There were all kinds of things, clothes, and even some expensive wine. Ning Shu pretended that he didn't see it and didn't ask. Zombies came from all directions, especially at the entrance of the supermarket. It was a black mass. Everyone's face was a bit ugly. It was a big problem to break through with so many zombies. "Be careful. Everyone, get in the car," Huo Jingqing said. No matter how fast zombies ran, They couldn't be faster than cars. For a moment, there was a rain of bullets, but there were so many zombies that it was hopeless. Ning Shu had the enchantment to hide his scent, so zombies rarely came near him. To zombies, Ning Shu was like air. However, even though Ning Shu was standing with her teammates, there were still zombies that rushed towards her. Ning Shu's shooting speed was very fast, and the accuracy was very high. Using his spiritual power to scan, he found that Ping and Shun couldn't stand it anymore and released the zombies from the space. These zombies suddenly appeared in the zombie crowd and were not conspicuous at all. If it wasn't for Ning Shu's spiritual power, he probably wouldn't have noticed. After these zombies appeared, they twisted the heads of other zombies and even bit them. Ning Shu felt his hands itching. He wanted to shoot the zombies in Ping and Shun. Although these zombies seem to have become tools for humans now, in the long run, these zombies were even more terrifying than the zombies that only had appetites. They were even unkillable. Let Ping and Shun's zombies kill these zombies first, and then kill them when the crisis was over. Ping and Shun breathed a sigh of relief and subconsciously looked at Ning Shu. Last time, this man killed his zombies. Seeing that Ning Shu didn't pay attention to him at all, he was relieved. It wasn't easy for him to absorb a zombie into his body, but he killed one with a single shot. It wasn't difficult at all, and these obedient zombies needed time. They couldn't become obedient in an instant. If he killed them, his heart would bleed, and he would be heartbroken. Everyone got into the car and stood in the car to kill the zombies. Ning Shu fired a few shots at the zombies near Ping and Shun and killed the zombies beside them. It seemed that these zombies were innocent victims of Ping and Shun's attack. Ping and Shun was speechless. Ping and Shun's face turned pale. Another 5 zombies were gone. Ping and Shun looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu was still shooting, 1 shot for 1 head. Ning Shu certainly didn't miss Ping and Shun's heartbroken expression. It was as if his flesh was being cut. Counting up, he killed almost 10 zombies. 10 zombies wasn't a lot, but with Ping and Shun's current strength, 10 zombies was not a small number for him. Ping and Shun stared at Ning Shu. Was he intentional or not? Why did he kill his zombies twice? Although these zombies could be released and retracted at will, but every time they were released and retracted, Ping and Shun's body would be weak, and his head would hurt. He said that it was because his spiritual power was too weak. One could imagine how angry Ping and Shun was when he lost his zombies. Ning Shu turned his head and looked at Ping and Shun. His hands didn't stop moving. He fired a shot and hit a zombie's head. Why are you looking at me? Is there a zombie's brain on my face? Ning Shu looked at Ping and Shun. Ping and Shun looked away and said, "You seem to be the cleanest person here. You flatter me. You also know that researchers like us are a bit of a cleanliness freak, so we never get close to zombies. If we can attack from a distance, we will never get close." Ning Shu said, "Researcher." Ping and Shun's pupils shrank. No wonder he didn't like this person. He had secrets on him, and he was most afraid of meeting this kind of person. He must expose this person, and he must study him to a conclusion. No wonder he didn't like this person, and even faintly rejected him in his heart. It turned out to be a sign of danger. The speed of the train was very fast. They got rid of the zombies chasing them. Even if there were zombies blocking them, they would directly rush over and knock the zombies away or run over them under the wheels. The train was loaded with goods. It was very heavy. When the wheels ran over, only a zombie's skin was left on the ground. Ning Shu sat down beside Ping and Shun. Ping and Shun moved to the side and felt goosebumps all over his body when he was near Ning Shu. Ping and Shun tried to calm himself down and asked, "Since you are a researcher, why did you come out to look for supplies?" Ning Shu looked at Hu Jingqing with a faint smile. Hu Jingqing's expression was cold. He didn't even look at Ning Shu and paid attention to the situation outside the train. Ning Shu said, "I came out to experience life and see if the zombies have mutated." Ping and Shun was speechless. Ning Shu tried to find a topic. "You were lucky to be able to escape from a place with so many zombies. What did you do before?" Ning Shu asked Ping and Shun. Ping and Shun didn't want to talk to Ning Shu at all, but he couldn't ignore him. Moreover, he was a newcomer to the team. Ping and Shun thought that he could control zombies. It was inevitable that he would be discovered later on. He had to think of an excuse. Chapter 2176. Ping and Shun thought for a while and finally said, I'm actually a Taoist priest, a disciple of my master. A Taoist priest has a disciple? Aren't monks the only ones with disciples? Ning Shu asked in surprise. A Taoist priest didn't differentiate between the sections. Wearing a cross necklace and saying that he was a Taoist priest was basically lying to his master. Ning Shu looked at the necklace on Ping and Shun's neck and said, You're a Taoist priest, and you believe in Jesus? Ping and Shun looked down at the necklace on his neck and didn't know what to say. He felt like he was being seen through. Even Hu Zhengqing looked over. Ping and Shun was anxious and his forehead was sweating. He thought quickly and said, My master said that I'm just a half-baked person. I saw that there were zombies, so maybe the cross necklace had a restraining effect on the zombies. That's why I wore one. Some young people wanted to be unique and would wear a skull or cross necklace on their necks. However, Ping and Shun was suddenly questioned by Ning Shu and he wasn't fully prepared. Plus, there were zombies surrounding them, so who would care about the necklace? The necklace was a very, very small thing, but Ning Shu used it to expose his lie. Ping and Shun was very unhappy and his hostility towards Ning Shu reached its peak. Did he see something and want to study and dissect him? Plus, Ping and Shun didn't tell the truth. Ning Shu said to Hu Zhengqing, There are so many zombies this time. I think we should get everyone's blood tested when we get back, so we don't get infected. Hu Zhengqing thought for a while and said, Okay. Ping and Shun's fingers on his leg trembled. He wanted to say something, but the leader of the team had already agreed. Anything he said now would be superfluous, and it would only make things worse. He didn't want to draw blood, but it wasn't up to him to say anything. The car bumped along the road. Even though there were zombies surrounding them, they couldn't keep up with the speed of the car. Finally, the car passed by the gas station and left the town. Everyone let out a sigh of relief. At least there weren't so many zombies surrounding them now. Fortunately, they gained a lot this time. Although they lost a few team members, the supplies in the supermarket were enough to fill a few cars. Hu Zhengqing still felt that it was worth it. It was worth it to exchange the lives of a few people for so many supplies. The most precious thing in the apocalypse was not human lives, but resources that could keep people alive. Some people even opened their kettles. The kettles were filled with wine, and the aroma of wine wafted out of the car. Hu Zhengqing kicked each of them. What are you drinking for? We're not even completely safe yet, and you're already celebrating. When we get back to the base, even if you drink yourselves to death, no one will care. Now cheer up. After a night of driving, they finally arrived at the entrance of the base. As the vehicles filled with supplies drove into the base, the people in the base cheered excitedly. Hu Zhengqing was once again welcomed as a hero. His body was filled with respect. Ping and Shun looked at the huge base. In the future, he would stand out in this base and take root here. This base seemed to be quite powerful. Ning Shu jumped out of the truck and said to Hu Zhengqing, Gather the team members later. I'll draw some blood and take it back to the lab for testing. Just in case, no one knows if the zombies have mutated or if their brains or blood can be infected. Ping and Shun was originally happy, but when he heard Ning Shu's words, he immediately fell to the bottom. He was originally happy. Why did he have to say that? Why did he have to draw blood? If someone was infected, they would turn into a zombie within 12 hours. Since no one had turned into a zombie after so long, it meant that no one was infected. With the help of Ning Shu and some other researchers, all of the team members had their blood drawn, including Ping and Shun. Ping and Shun was very unwilling to have his blood drawn. After returning to the lab, Ning Shu first put on his white lab coat, washed his hands, and took out Ping and Shun's blood for testing. As for the others, they were all just a cover. Ning Shu wanted to study Ping and Shun's blood. Ping and Shun was so resistant to the blood test. He might have been bitten by a zombie, but he didn't turn into a zombie. Obviously, it was because of the space. Ning Shu observed Ping and Shun's blood under the microscope. The cells in the blood were all normal human cells. There was nothing special about them. Compared to the rapidly dividing zombie cells, human cells divided very slowly. Generally speaking, the cell regeneration of human skin took about 28 days, the cell regeneration of bones took 7 to 10 years, the cell regeneration of lymphocytes took about 3 days, the cell regeneration of liver cells took about 1 year, the cell regeneration of immune cells took about 90 days, the cell regeneration of lymphocytes took about 2 days, and the cell regeneration of brain cells took a lifetime. If the brain cells didn't develop well, their IQ would be low for the rest of their lives. Of course, it would take time to accumulate wisdom. There was a limit to the number of times a cell could divide. When the cell stopped dividing, the human metabolism would stop and the human body would die. If the cell cycle was slow and the cycle was long, the human lifespan would be longer under the limited number of divisions. Ning Shu focused on Ping and Shun's cell cycle. When Ning Shu announced that no one in the team was infected with the zombie virus, Ping and Shun breathed a sigh of relief. When they returned to the base, Ning Shu basically stayed in the lab. Hu Jingqing had a new target, so he didn't bother Ning Shu every day. He didn't come to the lab to block her. Occasionally, she would hear that Hu Jingqing and Ping and Shun were getting closer and closer. When people talked about Ping and Shun, their tone was full of disdain. They said that Ping and Shun was a prostitute who was living a good life with Hu Jingqing. In short, it was better to hope that gold would fall from the sky than to hope that men would say nice things. Sometimes, they even dragged Ning Shu into it. They said that they only listened to the laughter of the new and not the tears of the old. Ning Shu was speechless. Since when did she cry? She cried for Hu Jingqing. If she could, she really wanted to set off firecrackers to celebrate Teddy's departure from her. She was sacrificing herself for the great scientific research, not for Hu Jingqing. Life in the base was too depressing. Every day was precarious, so everyone said all kinds of things without restraint. As long as they didn't kill people in the base, other entertainment activities, gambling, and so on were all supported. The gambling capital was all kinds of resources, a bar of soap, a box of biscuits, and so on. Money was useless now, and wiping one's butt was prickly. Any gossip at this time was simply interesting seasoning in a lonely and desperate life. Ning Shu had been observing Ping and Shun's condition and the cell cycle in his body. She used drugs to shorten the cell cycle by half. But even so, Ping Shuan's cells still divided very slowly even though the time it took for the cells to divide was shortened. Chapter 2177. According to the rate of cell division, Ping Shun could live to 80 years old under normal circumstances. However, his lifespan might double or even more under such circumstances. Ning Shu hurriedly told his colleagues in the research room about the situation and asked them to take a look at the cell division. Under the effect of the drug, the cell division was slower than that of a normal human. The wish of human beings to live a long life was about to be fulfilled. The slower the metabolism, the longer the lifespan. There was even a theory that the slower the heart rate, the longer the lifespan. For the sake of caution, the other researchers repeated the experiment over and over again. The mystery of the human body could never be fully explored. If there were any abnormalities, Ping Shun might be dragged to the research room to study his body structure. During this time, Hu Jingqing took Ping Shun out for another mission. This time, Ping Shun didn't ask Ning Shu to come along. He probably felt that it was a bit awkward for the three of them to travel together. Usually, when Ning Shu and Ping Shun met at the base, the two of them would look at each other without saying anything. Occasionally, they would greet each other coldly. Ping and Shun felt that this pretty boy with red lips and white teeth was like a fishbone stuck in his throat. He had to first gain a foothold in this base before dealing with this hidden danger. Otherwise, he would feel uncomfortable. The director of the research room reported Ping Shun's situation to the leader of the base. The research had not made any progress at all, which made the people in the research room feel pressured. Ning Shu told the director of the research room some of his speculations. He suspected that Ping Shun had been bitten by a zombie and that there were bite marks on his body. Ning Shu only said that he suspected because there were bite marks. However, he wasn't sure if it was caused by a zombie. After all, only he knew about it. The person in charge looked serious. If Ping and Shun's body could resist the zombie virus, then their research had made progress. Maybe there was something special in Ping and Shun's body, or a special gene that could prevent the zombie virus from infecting him. This way, the research would have a direction. However, this matter needed to be reported to the leader. He wanted to talk to Ping Shun and ask him to tell them the specific situation. Maybe he really was infected, but the zombie virus was hiding in his body. It didn't erupt like the others. Not to mention whether he was bitten by a zombie, the research room could study his cell division for a while. After all, longevity was the eternal dream of human beings. The person in charge of the research institute submitted the report, which attracted some attention. But now that Ping and Shun was out on a mission, they would have to wait until Ping and Shun returned to the base. Ning Shu was almost certain that Ping and Shun had been bitten by a zombie. In the plot, Hu Jingqing probably knew this as well, but he chose to protect Ping and Shun. Firstly, it was because of benefits. Secondly, Ping and Shun's strength was getting stronger day by day. There was no need for him to be afraid of anyone. Ning Shu wanted to take advantage of the fact that Ping and Shun hasn't grown up yet. He wanted Ping and Shun to stay in the research institute. As for 2333's suggestion to slowly remove Ping and Shun from the dimension, Ning Shu ignored it. The more time he gave Ping and Shun, the faster he would grow. When the time comes, she could summon a bunch of zombies with a wave of her hand. Would 2333 help her fight the zombies? Moreover, Ping and Shun was just an ordinary person in the base. Even if he had some connections with Hu Jingqing, he would still have to be sacrificed for the benefit of the majority. She just didn't know if Ping and Shun and Hu Jingqing had reached the stage where their relationship was stronger than gold. It shouldn't be possible in such a short time. Hu Jingqing emptied the supermarket. He didn't leave a single thing behind. Pots, pans, ladles, and even threads. Hu Jingqing had been in the limelight recently. The other teams couldn't even lift their heads. However, when he came back this time, he saw a row of soldiers. They said to him, "Please come with us, Ping and Shun." Hu Jingqing was stunned. He immediately asked sternly, "Ping and Shun is my team member. Why are you looking for him? Tell me." The soldier said, "Sorry, we just received an order. We don't know why the higher-ups are looking for Ping and Shun. Please don't make things difficult for us." These people were very polite to Hu Jingqing because of his ability and the many medals on his chest. "Who is Ping and Shun? Please come with us." The soldier asked the team. Ping and Shun had a bad feeling in his heart. However, he calmed himself down. Especially when he saw that these soldiers were all armed, Ping and Shun felt even worse. He wanted to run, but he couldn't. Ping and Shun had no choice but to step forward and say, "I am Ping and Shun." Hu Jingqing asked his men to go back and rest. He said to Ping and Shun, "I'll go with you." With Hu Jingqing with him, Ping and Shun was slightly relieved. With someone with power following him, there should be a chance of survival. Ping and Shun was thinking about whether he should just leave the base. He would be alone outside. When he collected enough zombies in his space, he wouldn't have to be afraid of anyone anymore. Ping and Shun raised his head and saw Ning Shu leaning on the railing. For a moment, Ping and Shun felt that this matter had something to do with this man. He had been holding it in because this man had stolen his man. Ping and Shun had heard about the relationship between Hu Jingqing and Ji Ziang. What was the name? A few sheep. However, a few sheep had never questioned him and Hu Jingqing. They might have already acquiesced to the breakup of this relationship. But now, they were playing dirty tricks. Ping and Shun thought about the blood draw from before. He was afraid that a few sheep had done something to him. Hu Jingqing followed Ping and Shun's gaze and saw Ji Ziang upstairs. He couldn't help but frown. Ning Shu saw that Ping and Shun was taken away by the soldiers. Hu Jingqing accompanied him the whole time. It was probably true love. In fact, Ning Shu didn't feel much about true love. You just needed to love each other. However, there were always some people who would become the victims of true love. The word true love was a word dripping with blood. Love without twists and turns, without temptation, without other people's sacrifice and heartbreak, couldn't show the steadfastness and difficulty of true love. Ning Shu and Ping and Shun both wanted to deal with each other. They just needed to seize the opportunity. It was a feeling that didn't need to be explained. Although Hu Jingqing was with Ping and Shun, he wasn't allowed to enter when they arrived at the door. Hu Jingqing frowned. What did Ping and Shun have that made the people in the base so cautious? Ji Xiang must know the inside story. Hu Jingqing immediately went to the research institute to block Ning Shu. You know what's going on, right? Hu Jingqing asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu shrugged. Maybe Ping and Shun is talented in some aspect and the leader noticed it. Nonsense. Be serious. Hu Jingqing frowned in annoyance. Chapter 2178. It was clearly a matter of life and death, yet Ji Xiang was still acting so nonchalant, which made Hu Jingqing very annoyed. I'm serious. Why do the people at the base want Ping Shun to be questioned? Hu Jingqing asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu spread his hands. I don't know either. You're talking as if I should know. How would I know something that even you, Captain Hua, don't know? Hu Jingqing pinched the space between his eyebrows and looked sharply at Ning Shu. If I find out that this has something to do with you, Ji Xing, you'll be in big trouble. Ning Shu laughed in his heart. It was hard to say who would be the unlucky one. Ning Shu only said, This has nothing to do with me. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Instead of wasting your time here, why don't you ask someone else? Ask someone who knows. Think about it yourself. Is there anything special about Ping and Shun? Or is there anything strange about him? Otherwise, he wouldn't have attracted the attention of the higher-ups. Ning Shu's face was full of benevolence. You still want to blame me? Hu Jingqing looked at Ning Shu. You'd better not let me find out that you're trying to frame me. Otherwise, I'll shoot you. Ning Shu clicked his tongue. So that's how it is. Fortunately, I didn't have anything to do with you before. With your ruthless character, it's really bad luck to have anything to do with you. Oh, are you blaming me for abandoning you? Hu Jingqing pursed his lips and looked at Ning Shu. Don't forget that you're the one who's been acting all high and mighty all this time. Do I, Hu Jingqing, have to beg for your favor like a dog? Ning Shu quickly waved his hand. No, I didn't say anything about abandoning you. You and Ping Shun can live happily ever after. You're lucky, you don't have to be shy or impatient. This has nothing to do with me. Also, if anything happens to Ping Shun, you blame it on me. Do I look like a scapegoat? Hu Jingqing snorted coldly and turned around to leave. He was probably going to ask someone about Ping Shun. Ping and Shun hadn't been in the base for long. It was impossible for him to attract the attention of the higher-ups. There were so many people in the base. How could the higher-ups have the time to pay attention to an ordinary person? Besides, Hu Jingqing didn't think there was anything special about Ping and Shun. In terms of looks, he didn't have Ji Xiang's red lips and white teeth. In terms of ability, he didn't have much ability. After training, his gun skills were barely passable. There was nothing special about him. Perhaps it was because of Ping and Shun's special constitution that it attracted the attention of the higher-ups. Other than that, Hu Jingqing couldn't think of anything special about Ping and Shun. Ping Anshuan was brought to a dark room by the soldiers. Then the lights in the room were switched on. Ping Anshuan felt that the light was a little dazzling, so he used his hand to block the light. Then he saw that there were 3 people in the room, and they looked like they were interrogating a criminal. Ping Anshuan had a bad feeling. His eyes flashed with timidity and guilt. At this time, Ping Anshuan was hiding many secrets, but his current strength was not enough for him to protect these secrets. The people in the room saw Ping Anshuan's expression and politely asked Ping and Shun to sit down. Ping and Shun sat across from the 3 people. His hands were tightly clasped together under the table. Don't be nervous. We just brought you here to ask you some questions. Just tell us the truth. Ping and Shun nodded. I understand. Your name is Ping and Shun. You are 25 years old this year. Ping and Shun, we want to ask you if you have been bitten by a zombie before. The person who asked the question asked directly without any hesitation. Ping and Shun's face flashed with guilt. He quickly shook his head and said, No, I haven't been bitten by a zombie. If I had been bitten by a zombie, how could I still be human? I would have become a zombie a long time ago. Why are you asking me such an obvious question? Ping and Shun was most afraid of people asking about this matter. At that time, he was bitten by a zombie. When he was about to die, for some unknown reason, a space appeared in his body. Because of this space, the zombie virus in his body disappeared. Ping and Shun didn't know whether the virus disappeared or was suppressed. That was why he was still alive. The space could absorb zombies and turn them into its own fighting force. After obtaining the space's safety, it was able to survive and escape. Now that someone asked this question, Ping and Shun was shocked and angry. He almost gritted his teeth and said, "You are the ones who were bitten by a zombie. Then can we check your body?" The person who asked Ping and Shun asked. Ping and Shun's expression had been seen by these people. It meant that the person in front of them was hiding something. Ping and Shun's body stiffened when he heard that he was going to check his body. He shook his head and said, "No, I don't agree." "Why don't you agree?" "We just need to make sure that you have not been bitten by a zombie. This way, everyone will have no doubts." "Is there a special reason why you can't take off your clothes? Is it because you have been bitten by a zombie?" No, I... Ping and Shun's face was red. He finally said, I am gay. I am not used to taking off my clothes in front of men." Ping and Shun found a reason that was not a reason. The person who asked the question, "That's easy. We can find a woman to check you." The person who asked the question blocked Ping and Shun's reason. Ping and Shun was so anxious that his whole body was sweating. He looked around and saw that there were iron windows and thick iron doors in this room. It was not easy to get out. He had to defeat the 3 people in front of him first. There were guards outside the door. He also had to escape before the base sent out the alarm. Moreover, he had to avoid being caught by the people in the base. The process was very difficult. Moreover, his weapon was confiscated when he entered the room. He had no weapon to defeat the people in front of him, or he could let the zombies in his space kill the 3 people in front of him. Ping and Shun despaired as he realized that he was too weak, and he had to fight against an entire base. It was too despairing. "Do you want a man to check you or a woman? We can arrange for someone." Ping and Shun, who asked the question, didn't say anything. He lowered his head and rolled his eyes. It was obvious that he didn't have good intentions. "I refuse to check. Please tell me what crime I committed. Why do you need to check my body? I have human rights. It is illegal for you to check my body before confirming my crime." Ping and Shun said directly, "This is my body. You are not allowed to check my body." There was no need to mention the humiliation of having her naked body being touched here and there. Chapter 2179. The person who asked the question felt that he should try peaceful means before resorting to force to avoid wrongly accusing a person. Moreover, this person seemed to have some relationship with Huo Jingqing. If you don't want to give face to the monk, you have to give face to the Buddha. However, he spoke gently, but the other party didn't seem to care about him, so he used force. If he was really innocent, it would be fine to check him. However, if he kept dragging his feet and refusing to be checked, there must be something wrong. He pressed the bell on the table directly, and the guard outside the door came in. Take off his clothes and check his body. See if there are any injuries on his body. The person who asked the question said coldly, refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Ping and Shun immediately stood up, and the chair fell to the ground. Don't come over. A soldier can be killed but not humiliated. I just don't want to be checked. Do you still have human rights when you force people like this? No human rights. In this apocalyptic world, no one will investigate if you kill someone. Even if you die in this room, no one will say anything. Moreover, it's just a check on your body. If you refuse to do so, it means that you have a guilty conscience. What do you mean by guilty conscience? I'm a good person and you want to check me? You're too arrogant. I have the right to refuse such an insulting check. Ping and Shun said as he retreated to the wall. There was no way to escape and he was surrounded by the guards. I said, don't provoke me. Ping and Shun warned with a cold face. Don't come over. Ping and Shun really wanted to release the zombies, but releasing the zombies was even more unbelievable than being bitten by the zombies. He would be treated like a monster. However, if the marks on his body were found after the check, he couldn't escape. Ping and Shun felt that he was now forced to the edge of a cliff. He couldn't advance or retreat. There was no way to solve the problem in front of him. Why couldn't that space remove the marks on his body? Since it could suppress the zombie virus, why couldn't it restore his skin to its previous state? Ping and Shun was now hoping that someone could come and save him. As long as he escaped this time, he couldn't be trapped anymore. He wanted to leave this base. He couldn't stay in this base anymore. His secret could be discovered at any time. Moreover, he couldn't resist a base with his own strength. Ping and Shun made up his mind. After he escaped this time, he would bring his zombie army and destroy this base. He would not be polite at all and would let these people have a taste of their own medicine. The door was kicked open. Hu Jingqing had a gun in his hand, and his team members were all armed to the teeth. Hu Jingqing, what are you doing? The face of the person who asked the question darkened. The base valued Hu Jingqing a lot. Hu Jingqing saw that Ping and Shun was being pressed to the ground, and his collar had already been pulled open. Hu Jingqing's anger flashed through his eyes. He was so angry that he laughed and said to the person who asked the question, "Captain Li, what do you mean by this? When did my subordinates get treated like this by you?" Captain Li said coldly, "It's not like I want to do anything to him. It's the higher-ups who want to ask him questions. He should just cooperate obediently. If he insists on being so stubborn, what can we do? If the soft approach doesn't work, we can only use the hard approach." Ping and Shun saw that Hu Jingqing had brought people to save him. His heart warmed and his eyes turned red. His heart ached and he almost cried. Hu Jingqing sneered and said to Captain Li, "Why are you looking at his body? I know my men's body's the best. You can ask me anything." Hu Jingqing's words made the atmosphere weird. What did he mean by, "You know my men's bodies"? Thinking of Hu Jingqing's peaceful relationship with Ping and Shun, these two people must be honest with each other. Ping and Shun was speechless. Now, he wasn't touched at all. What a bastard! How dare he say such words in front of so many people? He should be struck by lightning. Then, are there any marks on his body, such as teeth marks or scratches? Captain Li asked. This was his mission and he had to complete it. If he couldn't complete such a simple mission, the higher-ups would doubt his ability to work. Captain Li was angry and jealous of Hu Jingqing, but he couldn't do anything to him. He couldn't help but feel weak in front of Hu Jingqing. Hu Jingqing glanced at Ping and Shun. Ping and Shun raised his head and looked into Hu Jingqing's eyes. Hu Jingqing should know his body very well. Hu Jingqing looked away expressionlessly and said, "No, there are no marks on his body. His skin is smooth and his skin is very good, very good." Hu Jingqing's expression was very flirtatious and he enjoyed it very much. It was as if he had already touched Ping and Shun's skin. Ping and Shun was touched and wanted to kick Hu Jingqing's face. Captain Li's face darkened. "What are you doing?" A dignified voice sounded from the door. A middle-aged man in a military uniform walked in with many soldiers behind him. "Sir." Hu Jingqing and Captain Li quickly saluted. The officer looked at the small dark room and looked at Captain Li. "I asked you to check. How did it end up like this?" "This." Captain Li looked at Hu Jingqing. Hu Jingqing looked at the officer and said carelessly, "Sir, you should have told me that you touched my people. I can't even protect my own brother. Isn't this a joke?" The officer was quite nice to Hu Jingqing. He said, "It's precisely because he's your subordinate that I let little Li take over. I don't want to make things difficult for you. Why did you bring so many people with you? Training? This is nonsense. Hurry up and take him away. That's my man." Hu Jingqing pointed at Ping and Shun. "Check him. If there's nothing wrong, let him go," the officer said. Hu Jingqing immediately frowned. What was going on? Ping and Shun was a little desperate. So he still had to be checked? "Sir, okay, this matter is settled. I'm the one who came today. If it were anyone else, they would have locked you up long ago," the officer said firmly. Ping and Shun was being escorted. Someone began to take off Ping and Shun's clothes. Hu Jingqing wanted to say something, but when he saw the serious expression on the officer's face, he couldn't say anything. Especially when Ping and Shun stared at him with tears in his eyes, it made his heart ache. Ping and Shun was like a beast that had been forced to the extreme. His eyes were filled with despair and viciousness. Ping and Shun took a deep breath and released the zombie. The zombie that appeared in an instant tore the soldier in front of him in half. Blood splattered everywhere. This sudden event made everyone feel like they were in a dream. Otherwise, there was no way to explain this absurd scene. Chapter 2180. Zombies appeared in the small dark room, and they appeared in an instant. This was the base. How could there be zombies in the base? Since he had been discovered, Ping and Shun decided to fight. He released more than 10 zombies which he had recently collected in the space. Shoot! The officer quickly calmed down and shot the zombies in the head. These zombies moved quickly. As soon as they came out, they slaughtered the people in the room. It seemed that killing people could arouse the zombies' interest. They were much more powerful than killing zombies. They scratched, bit, and even twisted necks. When humans were alive, their skin was elastic. Although they wouldn't be twisted like zombies, they wouldn't be able to survive. Hu Jingqing was also shocked. What was going on? There were zombies, and where did the zombies come from? However, his body moved faster than his mind. He held the gun and shot at the zombies' heads. However, these zombies seemed to move faster than normal zombies. Ping and Shun shouted, "Let me out or I will release more zombies." Hu Jingqing looked at Ping and Shun with a complicated expression. He seemed to have never understood this man. This man under her body could release zombies. Why didn't he go to heaven? The officer's face was cold. "What do you want?" "Let me go," Ping and Shun said. He didn't look at Hu Jingqing's complicated expression. He was now forced to the point where he had no other choice. He didn't want to be exposed like this. Under the strong firepower, several zombies' heads had already exploded. Some bullets passed through the zombies' heads, but the heads didn't explode. The zombies were still able to move. No one had expected that a simple question would lead to such a situation. The officer decided to treat this man as an SSS-level dangerous person. He didn't know if he was a human or a zombie. For such a dangerous mission, the base had already offended him. Only destruction awaited. Otherwise, the entire base would suffer. The only way was to eliminate the source of the problem. Ning Shu was in the research room. She heard from others that zombies had appeared in the detention room. Someone could control zombies. In this world, other than humans, there were no other zombies that could compete with humans. If someone could control zombies, wouldn't they be invincible? Ning Shu raised her eyebrows. She wanted them to find out that Ping and Shun's body had been bitten by a zombie before and that he could resist the zombie virus. That way, they could study his body. However, they didn't expect that Ping and Shun would actually release zombies. This was even more frightening than being able to resist the zombie virus. He could summon zombies anytime and anywhere, just like summoning ghosts. How could they not be shocked when they suddenly appeared? This was not scientific. It wouldn't be easy for Ping and Shun to leave the base unless someone helped him. He wondered how Hu Jingqing would feel when he saw that Ping and Shun could turn into a zombie anytime. Ning Shu also followed his colleagues over there to watch the fun, but he was very far away. What if he was accidentally hurt? Ning Shu put his hands in the pockets of his white coat to observe the situation. He didn't expect Ping and Shun to be so reckless as to release the zombies. More and more teams headed towards the small dark room and surrounded it. Even with Hu Jingqing's help, the chances of successfully escaping from the base were slim. Did they really think that the base was useless? The colleague next to him looked at the zombies and was very surprised. These zombies are different from other zombies. They don't seem to attack Ping and Shun. Could it be that these zombies were more intelligent than other zombies? Could it be that the zombies' brains were implanted with chips? That's impossible. Another colleague retorted. We haven't reached that level yet. You can go back and try implanting chips in the zombies' brains. The zombie's body is already dead. Ning Shu listened silently. He didn't participate in the conversation. The world was so big, there were still many mysteries that had not been discovered. Some things could not be explained by science. Ping and Shun stood in the middle of the encirclement with several zombies standing beside him. This scene was really strange. How could zombies and humans stand together so harmoniously and not attack humans? It was really confusing. The officers seemed to want to capture Ping and Shun alive. He didn't shoot Ping and Shun and ordered the zombies to be killed. Sai, how good would it be if we could study these zombies? What is the reason why these zombies don't attack Ping and Shun? The colleague looked at the zombies with burning eyes. Ning Shu said, there will definitely be a chance to study it. Even if you don't want to study it, the people above will let you study it. It was so abnormal that people would feel uneasy if they didn't study it. Moreover, it was already past the era where things couldn't be explained, so they could only use ghosts to explain. When they encountered something they didn't understand, they could study it. The situation was like this. Ping and Shun was now riding a tiger. If he was caught, he would only have the fate of being sent to the research institute. However, he couldn't force a way out. He didn't have that many zombies to help him break out. Ping and Shun couldn't help but look at Hua Jingqing. There was a pleading look in his eyes. Save me, save me. Hua Jingqing's heart was in a mess, but he also understood that Ping and Shun was weak. Even if he joined, he might not be able to leave the base. There was no way he could compete with the power of the base. Hua Jingqing felt that Ping and Shun was hiding something very well. If he had told him about this earlier and let him prepare in advance, this wouldn't have happened. Hua Jingqing shook his head. Ping and Shun's eyes suddenly dimmed. Hua Jingqing was right. They only had that kind of relationship. Hua Jingqing wouldn't risk his life for him and become the enemy of the entire base. Ping and Shun decided to release the zombies that had just merged into his body space. These zombies might hurt the enemy 1,000 times, but they might also attack him and not listen to him. Hua Jingqing saw Ping and Shun's determined expression and immediately said loudly, Ping and Shun, don't be impulsive. If there's anything, we can talk about it. Being impulsive won't solve anything. The most important thing now was to stay alive. Ping and Shun's heart was filled with grief and anger. He must have been framed. The person who framed him was the researcher. Ping and Shun knew that if he was caught, he would definitely be locked up for research. Then he would live a dark life. His glorious life had just begun. He would rather die than live in dishonor. When the officers saw that Ping and Shun didn't listen to his advice, he directly aimed at Ping and Shun's leg. There was a large artery in the thigh. If he didn't pay attention, it was very likely that he would bleed profusely. However, he couldn't care less about that now. No. Hua Jingqing's voice was hoarse. He watched the bullet fly towards Ping and Shun. Chapter 2181. The sound of a bullet entering flesh was the sound of a bullet. A bloody hole immediately appeared on Ping and Shun's thigh, and blood spurted out. Ping and Shun fell to the ground and covered his thigh. He fainted from the intense pain. The officer quickly ordered his men to take care of the zombie and tied a rope around Ping and Shun's thigh to prevent excessive blood loss. Ping and Shun was carried away on a stretcher. Capture a zombie alive and send it to the research institute, the officer ordered. The soldiers threw down a net and tied the zombie's body up. The net shrunk, and the zombie inside couldn't move. It was dragged to the research institute. Ning Shu said, "Here comes our work." The zombies were locked in the bulletproof glass. The zombies seemed to be very irritable. They slammed the glass loudly, as if they were going to break the bulletproof glass. It made people feel intimidated. The thick bulletproof glass did not give them any sense of security. "Should we inject a tranquilizer?" A colleague said timidly, but the others immediately rolled their eyes. Would tranquilizers work on zombies? What an idiot. This zombie was more energetic than the other zombies. It kept banging on the bulletproof glass, which made the people in the research institute tremble. No one rushed in. If they went in, they wouldn't be able to come out. They would definitely be torn apart by the zombies. They had no choice but to study the dead zombie first. The researchers began to study the structure of the zombie's body. Ping and Shun was carried to the hospital in the base for emergency treatment. The bullet in his thigh was taken out and the bleeding stopped. However, the door was full of guards to prevent him from escaping. Hu Jingqing was also guarding the door of the ward. When the base doctor said that the patient was fine, he was relieved. Although Ping and Shun acted strangely, Hu Jingqing was still worried about him. Hu Jingqing wanted to go in to see Ping and Shun, but he was stopped by the guards. No one was allowed to visit Ping and Shun now. Hu Jingqing glanced at the ward and wiped his face to find Ning Shu. The research institute was very busy now. Everyone had a task to do. Ping and Shun's zombie had been dismembered. They were now studying it to see if there was any difference between these zombies and other zombies. Her colleague told Hu Jingqing to wait for her outside. Not everyone could enter the research institute. Secondly, there were dangerous things in the research institute. Outsiders could get into trouble if they came in and encountered something. Ning Shu only responded with an "oh" and continued with the work at hand. He didn't plan to go out and argue with Hu Jingqing. He didn't even need to think to know that Hu Jingqing was here to criticize him. What did it have to do with her if something happened to Ping and Shun? Shouldn't she have reported the abnormality in Ping and Shun's blood? This was the decision of the entire research institute. She added fuel to the fire, and Hu Jingqing came to her. Ning Shu expressed that she was really busy. Hu Jingqing waited outside the research institute, but Ning Shu didn't come out. He immediately kicked the wall angrily, but it hurt, and a trace of pain flashed across his face. Hu Jingqing decided to wait here until Ji Xiang came out. He didn't believe that Ji Xiang would stay in the research institute forever. Ji Xiang must know the inside story. With Ping and Shun's strange condition, he would definitely be sent to the research institute to be studied once his body recovered. Don't ask why, but Hu Jingqing felt that Ji Xiang couldn't get away from this. He used to be quiet, but he didn't expect him to be hiding something. Plus, Ping and Shun was in the research institute. Whether he lived or died wasn't up to the researchers, so he had to greet Ji Xiang no matter what. As soon as Ning Shu came out of the research institute, she felt a gust of wind blow towards her. Ning Shu blocked the leg with her arm and took 2 steps back. She looked at Hu Jingqing with a half-smile. Captain Hu's way of greeting me is so special. Ning Shu glanced at the area 3 inches below Hu Jingqing's navel. She didn't know if Hu Jingqing could still hold his head high. Although the power of the fiery sun was very destructive, Ning Shu only used a little bit of it. It would destroy Hu Jingqing's kidney meridians, and it would affect his kidneys. A person's qi came from the kidneys, which stored the qi that was born in the mother's womb. People who indulged in sex had weak kidneys, so they used up the qi. It would probably take a while for the qi to lose its effect. Anyway, it wouldn't have anything to do with her. Hu Jingqing looked at Ning Shu. What's going on? Ning Shu crossed her arms and said casually, "Do you want to know?" "Tell me, what do you want?" Hu Jingqing said. Ning Shu quickly shook her head. "I don't dare to take your things. If I take your things, you'll say that I'm forcing you. You'll take revenge on me in the future. I'm scared." Hu Jingqing didn't want to talk nonsense with Ning Shu. "I'm just asking you, what's going on with Ping and Shun?" "Sai, you're the closest person to Ping and Shun. You don't even know that I know." Okay, don't be jealous. It's just that last time I said that I was going to draw blood from a team member, and then the people at the research institute found that Ping and Shun's situation was a bit special. I was just asking nicely, but who knew that something like this would happen? I didn't expect Ping and Shun to be able to control zombies. Then you know what happened next. Hu Jingqing looked at Ning Shu. Did you have a plan before this? Ning Shu was astonished. What am I plotting? What do I have to plot? It's because I'm close to Ping and Shun that you're using this method to frame him. Hu Jingqing stared at Ning Shu's expression, not letting go of a single trace of Ning Shu's expression. Ning Shu rolled her eyes. How could I frame him? Did I make him create zombies out of thin air? Did I make him have a special body? There are so many people at the research institute. Do you think a small researcher like me has the right to make these decisions? Hu Jingqing, are you out of your mind? Don't put all the blame on me. You've been with him day and night, and you don't even know that. How could I know anything about Ping and Shun when I don't know anything about him? Don't talk about this in front of me. Also, Don't try to drag me to replace Ping and Shun. I don't have that ability, and I don't have a special body. Ning Shu said bluntly. If she didn't act strong, she would think that she was easy to bully. She would question her as soon as something happened. Do you really think that you can feel superior in front of me just because we had something in the past? You're nothing in my heart. Hu Jingqing snorted. If anything happens to Ping and Shun, I'll kill you. Don't talk to me about being wronged. Your life is now tied to Ping and Shun's. If he dies, I'll kill you too. How domineering. If he dies, you'll all die with him. Crazy. Chapter 2182. Ning Shu felt that she was really unlucky to know Hu Jingqing. He specifically picked on people he knew and bullied them. Otherwise, why would Hu Jingqing threaten her instead of other researchers? Weren't you just relying on the fact that the two of them knew each other and had some friction in the past? Now, you're threatening your ex for the sake of your current lover. He even wanted someone to protect his current lover. It wouldn't be too much to kill him. So, you want to tie me to Ping and Shun. Do you think Ping and Shun will be fine? Ning Shu pursed her lips, feeling speechless. That was what Hu Jingqing meant. If nothing unexpected happened, Ping and Shun would definitely be sent to the research institute. At this time, they had to find someone who was connected to Ping and Shun's life. If anything happens to Ping and Shun, or if he dies, you will die too. You can treat this as a threat. So, you have to think of a way to protect Ping and Shun. You can't let anything happen to him. Hu Jingqing pulled out his gun and pointed it at Ning Shu. You can only live if he lives. Don't point a gun at me. I don't like it. Ning Shu hated guns. When he wasn't on a mission, he was pointed at by a gun. Now that he was on a mission, he was being pointed at again. This feeling was really fucking unpleasant. Hu Jingqing's expression was cold. You better take my words to heart. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. It's not impossible to protect Ping and Shun's life, but I have a condition. Ning Shu leaned against the wall and said lazily. You can ask for anything. I can fulfill it for you. But in exchange, if Ping and Shun dies, I will cut you into pieces. Ning Shu said directly, give me back the beef you took from me. The more you take from me, the more upset Ping and Shun will be. I can't lose anything, including the things I lost before. Send them to my dorm now. Hu Jingqing nodded. That's easy. I'll get someone to send a box of beef to your dorm. A box? Ning Shu tilted his head and looked at Hu Jingqing. Hu Jingqing's expression was cold. How much do you want? I didn't ask for much. You should give me back what you took from me. Ning Shu put his hands into the pockets of his white coat and straightened his back to look at Hu Jingqing. If I eat well, Pingyan can eat well too. Hu Jingqing laughed coldly. Jizing, you're getting bolder and bolder. You even dare to ask me for things now. Do you think you've grasped my weakness? Ning Shu shook his head and refuted Hu Jingqing's words. Correction, I'm not asking for anything from you. I'm taking back what's mine. There's no such thing as asking for anything. Don't make me sound like a beggar. Also, I don't know if Pingyan is your weakness, but it has nothing to do with me. Hu Jingqing looked at the man with red lips and white teeth. His heart itched so much that he wanted to press him to the ground and rub him against the ground. He originally thought that he was a gentle and harmless man, but he didn't expect him to be so difficult to deal with. The things you want will be sent to your dorm. Hu Jingqing had to make plans for Ping. Even if he had to lower his head to others, he had to think of a way to see Ping and was really mean. If he had known about this beforehand, he wouldn't have agreed to donate blood at that time. If there was anything you wanted to say, just say it. There were many opportunities to say it, but Ping didn't tell him. This made Hu Jingqing's heart a little cold. Because of their skin contact, the two of them could be loyal to each other, but he didn't expect this guy to keep such a big secret. Ning Shu, there's canned beef to eat. Ning Shu returned to the dorm, and a guard sent 3 boxes of canned beef over. Ning Shu was very satisfied. He moved the canned beef into the room and tasted one of them. He felt like he was alive. Although he didn't need to eat with the fasting pill, his tongue didn't taste anything. Now that he had eaten something, his numb tongue finally had a sense of taste. When Ping An's wound was almost healed, he was secretly sent to the research institute. The research institute was now a highly confidential place. During this time, Hua Jingqing tried all kinds of ways to see Ping An, but the base classified Ping An as an SSS-level dangerous person and prohibited anyone from contacting him. Even Hua Jingqing couldn't find a way to see Ping An. Hua Jingqing even begged the officer, but was told that he couldn't. Ping An was injected with tranquilizers and sent to the research institute. Everyone in the institute surrounded Ping An and looked at Hua Jingqing. He looked like an ordinary man. Some drew blood, some studied his hair, and some wanted to cut open Ping An's stomach. However, the higher-ups said that they couldn't harm Ping An's life. They had to do all kinds of research. How could a dead person be more valuable than a living person? Ning Shu took a tube of blood drawn from a zombie. It wasn't really blood, but the body fluid of a zombie. He had to inject it into Ping An's body. Xiao Ji, don't do this first. If he can't resist the zombie virus and turns into a zombie, we can't explain it to the higher-ups. When the others saw that Ning Shu was about to inject the virus, they immediately stopped him. Who knew if Ping An could really resist the virus? Ning Shu shrugged his shoulders with some regret. Well, let's first study how he could release the zombies in an instant. Could it be a wormhole? It's a special method to bring the surrounding zombies here. Someone guessed. Ning Shu said in his heart, Ping An didn't have a great ability. That was the law of space. Impossible. If there were zombies in other places, why didn't the zombies bite him? Don't zombies bite people when they see them? But Ping An's zombies are protecting him. Someone retorted. Ning Shu said, maybe these zombies ran out of Ping An's body. Suppose there's a space like a house in Ping An's body. He put the zombies in the space of his body so that he can release them at any time. When the crowd heard this, they shook their heads. It's a bit strange, and we did a physical examination for Ping An, and there was no such thing. Maybe that space is a piece of intestine or a gallstone. Didn't the Buddhist scriptures say that there is a world in a grain of sand? Ning Shu's expression said, I'm just talking nonsense, I'm just saying. The others rolled their eyes and went to do their own things. Ping An woke up and looked at the white ceiling. His head was empty. Then he looked around and saw all kinds of instruments and experimental props. He was sent to the research institute. He still couldn't escape this fate. Chapter 2183. You're awake. Ning Shu stood by the bed and watched Ping and Shun struggle, but he was firmly tied to the bed and couldn't move at all. Let me go, let me go. Ping and Shun's face was red, and there were all kinds of instruments on his body to record his heartbeat and physical condition. He didn't even need to get out of bed to relieve himself. Ping and Shun felt that this was an extreme insult. He was locked in the bulletproof glass like a lab rat for these people to study. Don't move, you'll be fine. Don't worry. Ning Shu comforted Ping and Shun, we just want to know how you can resist the zombie virus and release zombies. Get out. Ping and Shun spat out Ning Shu. He had no other weapons at this time, so he could only express his anger in this way. When the other zombies in the space mature and become obedient, he must tear this person to pieces. Ning Shu avoided Ping and Shun's spit and closed the bulletproof glass with an indifferent expression. Ping and Shun was trembling with anger. Through the bulletproof glass, he looked at the busy researchers in white coats coming and going. These people were all crazy, all perverts. They looked at him as if he was a lab rat. Their eyes were burning hot. Anyway, they didn't look at him like he was a human. These perverts. The Research Institute's current task was to let the zombie virus fuse with Ping and Shun's blood to see if anything would happen. If the blood didn't work, they might even cut open his stomach and take out some of his liver cells for research. Under the microscope, they would observe the situation of the two and observe the serum samples. In addition to the research, they had to take good care of Ping and Shun. When the time came, they had to feed Ping and Shun. They couldn't let him starve to death, and they also had to clean up his filth. Ning Shu held the pig liver rice and fed it to Ping and Shun. Pig liver nourished the blood, and eating more could replenish the blood loss. Ping and Shun tilted his head and refused to eat. Ning Shu turned his face. Eat, no one can starve themselves. I also promised Hua Jingqing to take care of you. Ping and Shun sneered. You can't wait for me to die, and you're pretending to be obedient in front of Hua Jingqing. Why are you pretending to be obedient? I asked Hua Jingqing for 3 boxes of canned beef. It has nothing to do with pretending to be obedient. Ning Shu stuffed the rice and the spoon into Ping and Shun's mouth. Ping Anshuan choked. Ning Shu gave him a little more water. Ping Anshuan swallowed the things stuck in his throat with great difficulty. Ji Ziang, you're really treacherous. As your research subject, I won't die, but you asked Hua Jingqing for supplies. Ping and Shun felt that this person was shameless. Of course, Ning Shu knew that Ping Shun wouldn't die even if he entered the research institute. However, why wouldn't he want something that he could get? It would be good to scare Hua Jingqing. Ning Shu felt that although Ping and Shun wouldn't die, it was basically impossible for him to leave the research institute in this lifetime unless something unexpected happened. Under Ning Shu's rough feeding mode, Ping finished the bowl of pig liver rice smoothly. Ning Shu took a tissue and wiped his mouth. Good boy. Psychopath. Researchers were all psychopaths, especially those in science. What kind of human-zombie hybrid was this? It was disgusting and perverted. Ping and Shun narrowed his eyes and saw Ning Shu open the bulletproof glass door. Suddenly, a zombie was released. The zombie clawed at Ning Shu's back. Ning Shu stepped on the bulletproof glass wall and did a backflip. He jumped behind the zombie, pulled out his gun and pointed it at the zombie's head. With a bang, the zombie's head exploded. The headless zombie rushed over to Ning Shu. Ning Shu quickly ran out of the bulletproof glass room and locked the door. He took out a medical device from the cabinet. It was a chainsaw. He turned on the switch and entered the room. The headless zombie rushed over. Ning Shu waved the chainsaw in his hand and cut the zombie in half. The zombie fell to the ground with a thud. Ning Shu looked at Ping and Shun, who was lying on the bed. I wanted to be polite to you for Hua Jingqing's sake, but you don't seem to appreciate it. Forget it then. Since you don't want to eat, we'll eat once every 2 days. Ning Shu dragged the 2 halves of the zombie out of the room. Ping and Shun's face was pale. Through the bulletproof glass, he saw that the people outside were gathered together to study something. He couldn't hear what they were talking about. He thought that he could kill Ji Ziang, but a few sheep escaped. He thought that Ji Ziang was just a researcher. He didn't expect him to be so skilled. He lost a zombie. It's so dangerous. How did the zombie appear? Yeah, and there's bulletproof glass. If it was ingested, how did it get into the room? Everyone was really puzzled. This was too strange. Was there really a room in Ping and Shun's body that could store things? The people in the research institute reported this matter. This kind of thing had to be reported to the higher-ups. This person was really ridiculous. It was too bizarre. Because of this, no one dared to feed Ping and Shun. If a zombie appeared, they would definitely be eaten by zombies. Not everyone was as lucky as Xiao Ji. Previously, Ping and Shun had gone on a hunger strike to protest, but now, no one cared about his hunger strike at all. They didn't even dare to go in and give Ping and Shun a bottle of water or a nutrient injection. They just watched as Ping and Shun was so hungry that his chest was sticking to his back. Ping and Shun was speechless. He was so damn hungry. When Ping and Shun was starving, Ning Shu went in to feed Ping and Shun. The others didn't dare to do so, so they pushed Ning Shu in. This time, he fed Ping and Shun. Ping and Shun was well behaved. He just ate and didn't say anything. He didn't dare to summon zombies out. They would be killed as soon as they came out. Ping and Shun found that the longer the zombie stayed in the space, the more powerful it was. Just like the previous zombie, it could kill enemies without a head. He endured it for the time being and made a more powerful zombie to help him escape from the base. Today's humiliation, he would pay back double in the future. He had deeply remembered the faces and names of these researchers. They couldn't run away. Ning Shu felt that there should be zombies in Ping and Shun's space. Maybe Ping and Shun was counting on these zombies to escape. But it was impossible. Regardless of whether they could escape or not, Once they couldn't get benefits from Ping and Shun, the space would leave him. The research institute had repeatedly studied it and found that there should be something in Ping and Shun's blood. This substance could protect the body's cells from being invaded by the virus. It was like adding a protective membrane to the body's cells. This was a major discovery. If so, Ping and Shun's blood was very precious and could be used as a vaccine against the virus. For example, if you were bitten by a dog, you could inject a rabies vaccine to make the body produce antibodies. If this serum was produced, then if you were bitten by a zombie or caught by a zombie, you might be fine after being injected. Chapter 2184. Ning Shu felt that this substance should be the credit of the space system. This substance was a bit like spiritual energy, but it was not spiritual energy. It was a special substance. No matter what, Ping and Shun had now changed from an SSS-level dangerous person to an SSSSS-level important target of protection. Ning Shu felt very stifled. Until now, she had not found a way to solve the zombie virus. This virus was said to be sudden and had great transmission. It was the self-purification of this plane that gave birth to this kind of thing. It was not so easy to find a solution, and it was deliberately not found. Because this virus was mutating at any time, it was impossible to figure out. The people in the research institute were under a lot of pressure every day. They scratched their heads until they were bald. It was not feasible to find a solution. Now that there was such a breakthrough, the researchers in the research institute were almost crying with joy. There was finally progress. At the same time, they thought that since Ping and Shun had this kind of constitution, it did not mean that there were people with this kind of constitution. Ning Shu carefully studied the substance in the serum. This substance was in the space. It was the substance in the space that was going to be formed into a plane. Did the evolved space have this kind of substance? Ning Shu felt that this mission might fail. This virus might be made by the plane itself. It made humans and zombies kill each other to purify the entire plane. Because this plane could no longer bear the burden. If it was not purified, the creatures inside would be annihilated with the space. Unfortunately, one of the missions was to find a solution to the zombie virus. If she really solved the zombie virus, the human side would have an absolute chance of winning. Her merit points would probably be deducted. Besides, she did not have the ability to solve it. This was the first time that Ning Shu had encountered such a situation, as the mission and the actual situation contradicted each other. This was a scam mission. Ji Ziang, the person who commissioned this mission, was probably chosen by the main system because of this space that threatened the plane. Xiao Ji, you look so dispirited. Are you unhappy? At the same time, she saw Ning Shu's head knocking on the table. His head was bouncing like a ball. The research institute can finally breathe a sigh of relief. With the serum, we can resist the zombie virus. Ning Shu nodded. I'm happy. I'm very happy. The experiment this time was done quietly and secretly. The people above first found people who had been caught by zombies and injected the serum. They locked them up for observation and found that they didn't turn into zombies. After testing more than 20 people, they didn't turn into zombies. In the end, all the people involved in the experiment were killed. When Ning Shu saw this scene, he felt that the lives of people in the apocalypse were really worthless. It was probably because they were too capable that the plane that gave birth to them had chosen to purify them. The heavenly Tao was heartless, and it instinctively chose the way to maintain this plane. Therefore, these two missions conflicted with each other. As for how to deal with the zombie virus, one could use spiritual energy to envelop the virus and expel it from the body. However, there was no spiritual energy in this world. As for using scientific methods to solve this problem, Ning Shu could only say that he did not have the ability. Ning Shu asked 2333, do you want to choose this realm or this quest? What nonsense are you talking about? Doing quests is to maintain the stability of the plane. Of course I want to choose the realm. There's no need to think about it at all. 2333 said directly. In this kind of situation where the quests contradict each other, the choice is to choose the realm. You can't let the realm collapse and create trash that affects the neighboring realms. Between realms, it's like dominoes. When one falls, there will be a chain reaction behind. Ning Shu, of course, chose the entire realm. But if I fail the quest, it's very likely that I'll be obliterated. I'll lose one of my talismans. That's too fucking bad. It's a huge loss. No, even if the client is not satisfied, the system will not judge your quest as a failure. The individual, the entire realm, and the other realms next to this one, it's easy to guess which is more important. Moreover, the client can no longer counterattack. If he wants to come back, he can come back. If he doesn't want to come back, he can enter reincarnation. We can give him some preferential treatment. Anyway, we just try to make both parties satisfied, 2333 explained. Even if the main system directly kicks the client to reincarnation, it's not impossible. You'll be exposed if you open your mouth. Ning Shu felt that 2333 should be a person who ignored the rules. It was not easy to use Ping and Shun's serum to control the damage of the zombie virus to the human body. But this was all thanks to Ping and Shun. If Ping and Shun died, the serum would be gone. If he was bitten by a zombie, he would still die and join the zombie army. The human side found a solution. The zombie virus would even change and become easier to infect. It was really fun to fight with the heavens. Moreover, the human body could not lose too much blood. If too much blood was lost, the human body would die. This kind of antivirus serum was destined to be produced in small quantities and could not benefit ordinary people. Most of it was used by the leaders of the base or stored. Ning Shu was a little curious. He wondered if the blood in Ping and Shun's body still had antivirus effects after the realm left him. Ping and Shun had some value now, but when he was no longer useful, he would not be far from death. Ping and Shun was now forced to eat some blood-producing food every day. He ate whatever nourished his blood. Every once in a while, he would draw a bag of blood. Ping and Shun felt like he had become a blood cow, a blood supplier. He kept drawing blood. No matter how much blood his body had, it could not withstand such a demand. Since the discovery of the serum, the people in the research institute had been living a little better. They also received some benefits and more daily necessities. Ning Shu was distressed about his mission. He had been busy for half a day, but this mission might fail. 2333 could get the energy of a realm, but she had nothing. Moreover, they could not look for the origin of the world in this world. The world was full of zombies. Moreover, this plane could not even take care of itself. How could they have the time to create an extra world origin? So Ning Shu did not get anything from this mission. She hoped to get some merit. But a mission like saving the world was not suitable for her. Ning Shu walked out of the research institute and saw Hu Jingqing waiting for him. He looked travel-worn. He should have returned from outside the base. How is Ping and Shun? I heard that a serum that can resist the virus was found from Ping and Shun. Is that true? Hu Jingqing asked. Ning Shu tilted her head and looked at Hu Jingqing with a half-smile. Who did you hear that from? Aren't you afraid that the base will riot if you say something like that? This kind of thing hasn't been researched at all. Or are you saying that you're also greedy for that so-called serum? Ning Shu looked at Hu Jingqing with a "what are you greedy for?" expression, which made Hu Jingqing's eyebrows jump. Chapter 2185. Benefits were definitely a test of one's emotions. A person's performance in the face of benefits was most likely a reflection of their true character. If Hu Jingqing was also here for the serum, then their relationship was still weak. Wasn't there a saying that love that couldn't be upgraded to money wasn't love? However, everyone felt that the combination of love and money was vulgar. Only when money was involved could love be considered true love. Money represented a family's status, and worldview, and all of that were revealed. Hu Jingqing looked at Ning Shu. You just need to tell me yes or no. Ning Shu shook his head. This is a secret of the Research Institute. Why should I tell you? Also, I've already taken care of Ping Shun for me. I have no obligation or responsibility to tell you these confidential things. Ah. Hu Jingqing sneered. What do you mean you took care of him? You swindled something from me before. Ping Shun has such an important position now. He has good food and drinks at the base. Other than losing his freedom, he's more precious than a national treasure. How could anything happen to him? Ning Shu rolled his eyes and kicked him. Hu Jingqing blocked Ning Shu's leg and took 2 steps back. He frowned and looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu didn't hesitate and kicked his shiny leather shoes at Hu Jingqing. Ji Ziang, don't go too far, Hu Jingqing said in a low voice. I can go even further. Ning Shu clenched his fist and punched Hu Jingqing's chest. Hu Jingqing groaned. Hu Jingqing rushed back. His tired body was no match for Ning Shu for the time being. Ning Shu hadn't missed a single day of training. He was very powerful when he swept his legs. Hu Jingqing's body couldn't take it anymore. Hu Jingqing felt that his body was a little weak. If he wasn't a match for Hu Jingqing, he pulled out his gun. Ji Ziang, I just need to know how Ping Shun is doing. Hu Jingqing pointed his gun at Ning Shu. Ning Shu also pulled out his gun and pointed it at Hu Jingqing. This is the Research Institute's secret. I'd rather die than tell you. What are you trying to do by snooping around the Institute's secrets every day? Hu Jingqing was so angry that he almost vomited blood after being accused by Ning Shu. What did he mean by asking about the secrets of the Research Institute every day? He was only asking about Ping and Shun's current situation. She made it sound like he was up to no good. Hu Jingqing directly fired a shot at Ning Shu. In Ning Shu's eyes, the bullet was very slow. Ning Shu dodged the bullet and fired a shot at Hu Jingqing's wrist. However, he did not hit him. The bullet only grazed his wrist, and Hu Jingqing dodged it. Gunshots rang out in the base again. The guard hurried over to stop the 2 of them and shouted through a loudspeaker, "Both of you, stop. Stop now. Otherwise, you will be punished. Both of you, throw your guns over. Throw them over." Ning Shu and Hu Jingqing looked at each other through the wall. When the 2 of them threw their guns, they fired at each other at the same time. Ning Shu did not intend to hurt Hu Jingqing. He only wanted to attract the attention of the base. Hu Jingqing and Ning Shu were taken to a small dark room and locked inside. Ning Shu pulled a chair and sat down with a calm expression. Hu Jingqing narrowed his eyes and looked at Ning Shu with a gloomy expression. No one knew what he was thinking. After a while, the metal door opened and the officer came in. He looked at Ning Shu and Hu Jingqing. This is the second time. You opened fire in the base openly. How should the 2 of you be punished for violating the rules of the base? Ning Shu said calmly, Do you think I want to fight with him? He is always trying to find out the secrets of our research institute. This time, he came to ask me if I found a serum that could resist the virus in Ping and Shun's body. These are all secrets of the research institute and the base. Of course, I would not tell him. So, he got angry and started the fight. Nonsense. You were the one who started it. Ji Ziang, you are shameless. Hu Jingqing pointed at Ning Shu with a gloomy face. Stop spreading rumors. Then why did you come to ask about Ping and Shun? Ping and Shun is a secret of the base. In order to avoid causing panic in the base, this matter was suppressed. Why did you suddenly come to ask me about Ping and Shun? Who knows what you are thinking? I have some connections with Ping and Shun. Plus, Ping and Shun was my subordinate before. What's wrong with me asking? Hu Jingqing felt that the topic was going in a direction that was disadvantageous to him. Not only did you ask about Ping and Shun, but you also asked me if there was a serum in Ping and Shun's body that could resist the zombie virus. What are you thinking? Do you want to betray the base and take Ping and Shun away? With Ping and Shun, you can build another big base. You are talking nonsense. Hu Jingqing's blood was boiling in his chest. He almost spat out blood. Ji Ziang, don't talk nonsense. Don't accuse me of something I didn't do. I am just making a reasonable guess. After all, you have a lot of people under your command. If you have Ping and Shun, you can recruit a lot of people with the help of some random serum. Ning Shu spread his hands and said, Sir, this is what happened. This is the reason for our conflict. It started when Hu Jingqing came to ask about Ping and Shun and the serum. I told him that it was a secret of the base. The 2 of us had a disagreement and started fighting. Ning Shu said to the officer, The middle-aged officer's expression was unfathomable. It was impossible to tell what he was thinking. However, Ning Shu was sure that the base didn't want the serum to spread. Having the serum was like having an extra life, especially after being bitten by zombies. The serum was even more precious than a gold mine. After all, gold couldn't be eaten at the end of the world. I know the details. You can leave now, Dr. G. Ning Shu said. Ning Shu bowed and left, leaving the officer and Hu Jingqing in the dark room. Ning Shu couldn't hear what was being said in the room. He released his psychic power to check the situation in the room. How did you know about the serum? The base didn't tell anyone about it. The officer asked Hu Jingqing. That meant that the higher-ups in the base had leaked the secret. Hu Jingqing said directly, I don't know anything about the serum. I just wanted to ask about Ping and Shun. Then Ji Zheng framed me and said something about the serum. The officer's expression was serious. You just need to tell me who told you about the serum. I already told you that Ji Zheng framed me. Fuck, didn't he understand human language? Hu Jingqing's muscles tensed up. He felt a sense of danger. He was framed by Ji Zheng, but he was the one who took the initiative to find Ji Zheng. Then Ji Zheng took the opportunity to fabricate the story. He was no longer a gentle and harmless ram. Chapter 2186. The officer repeatedly asked Hu Jingqing where he heard about the serum. Hu Jingqing repeatedly denied that Ji Zheng was the one who set him up and that he didn't know about the serum at all. Hu Jingqing couldn't admit it directly. Yes, he was asking for death by saying something like that. He could only insist that Ji Zheng was the one who set him up. Ning Shu was standing guard not far from the dark room. He saw the situation in the dark room through his psychic power and rolled his eyes when he heard Hu Jingqing's words. Framing you was just a matter of convenience. You definitely asked about the serum. Weren't you the one who asked? The officer looked at Hu Jingqing. Did Ji Zheng tell you? Hu Jingqing was silent for a moment. I don't know. I only found out about the serum when I got here. It's obvious that Ji Zheng set me up. The officer asked, why would Ji Zheng set you up? There are so many people out there. Why would he do that? It's confidential. Didn't he know about it? Sigh, it's just a personal thing. I didn't expect Ji Zheng to be jealous. Now the situation has become like this. Then why did you fight again? The officer asked. What were you doing outside the lab? You have to give me a reasonable explanation. Otherwise, even I can't protect you. I can't protect you. It's so serious. Hu Jingqing frowned. His expression became extremely serious. So, Pingshuan's body can really produce the serum to resist the virus? The officer asked. Why did you two fight? Ning Shu thought for a moment and returned to the dark room. She was stopped by the guard at the door. Ning Shu took out a pen from her white lab coat and said to the guard, help me bring this in to the officer. Then, everything will be clear. It was a recording pen. There was still electricity in the apocalypse. After all, there was still solar power. Even if there was no electricity, there was still electricity. When she was talking to Hu Jingqing at the entrance of the lab, she put her hand in her pocket and turned on the recording pen. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous to put her hand in her pocket in front of Hu Jingqing. If she wasn't careful, she would be held hostage. The guard opened the door and brought the pen in. The officer turned on the recording pen. The content of Ji Zheng's peaceful conversation could be heard clearly. Then there was the sound of gunshots. What do you say? The officer looked at Hu Jingqing seriously. The recording might be fake, Hu Jingqing said with a pale face. But in such a short period of time, you have to fake it for me. Even the sound of the soldiers shouting through the loudspeakers was recorded, so it couldn't be faked. I've asked you a few times, but you didn't tell me the truth. What do you want me to say? The officer looked at Hu Jingqing. If the recording falls into the hands of other leaders, you will die. Hu Jingqing gritted his teeth. Ji Zheng was too sneaky. He actually hid the recording pen on his body. What exactly did he want to do? He was so scheming, and the key was that he took the initiative to look for him. Hu Jingqing was drenched in sweat. The sweat flowed from his forehead to his eyelashes and fell on his face. "Sir, what do you want to do with me? As far as I know, there are many people who know about this secret. It's useless for you to kill me. Why don't you let me help you find these people and eliminate them one by one? I promise that this secret won't be revealed. If it is, it won't be too late to kill me." In front of the evidence, Hu Jingqing didn't quibble anymore. He simply made a military order. This way, he could buy some time for himself. At least, he could get out of this small dark room. Hu Jingqing's heart was in suspense. "All right then." The officer waved his hand. "Don't tell anyone about this. Act quietly." "Thank you, sir." Hu Jingqing bowed and turned to leave the small dark room. The officer quickly took out his gun and pointed it at Hu Jingqing's back. Hu Jingqing reacted very quickly. He turned around and fired a shot at the officer. Ning Shu was paying attention to the situation in the small dark room at all times. He used his mental strength to distort the trajectory of Hu Jingqing's bullet. The bullet hit the wall beside the officer. "Fuck, I'm so lucky." Hu Jingqing was furious. His gun skills were so bad that he couldn't even hit the target at such a close range. The officer saw that he had escaped death and was extremely glad. Fortunately, the bullet didn't hit him. "Hu Jingqing, how dare you attack me?" The guards outside the room heard the gunshot and rushed in. They pointed their guns at Hu Jingqing. Hu Jingqing's sweat wet the ends of his hair and dripped down. He had a bad feeling in his heart. When he heard the officer's words, he said, "You want to kill me? Am I supposed to let you kill me obediently? Don't use the excuse that you think highly of me. I'm thought highly of because of my ability. I rely on a group of brothers and I to support the entire base. Otherwise, you bunch of trash who don't do anything can go eat shit." Hu Jingqing sneered. "Do you believe that when these guards shoot me, you'll be dead too?" The officer's face turned pale as he looked at Hu Jingqing. "What do you want?" "Nothing. I just want to leave this place. I've poured my heart and soul into this base in order to find supplies and fight zombies. But now I'll have to leave this place. Also, bring Ping and Shun from the research institute to me." Hu Jingqing said directly. Today he had offended the officer. There was no way he could stay in this base any longer. Even if he wanted to leave, he had to bring Ping in with him. Ping and Shun's blood was precious. Plus, Ping and Shun was the person he liked. Impossible. The officer refused immediately. Hu Jingqing raised his gun and walked towards the officer. However, no one dared to shoot. If they killed Hu Jingqing, the officer would be killed by Hu Jingqing. Hu Jingqing was a famous sharpshooter in the base. Not only was his gun skills good, but he was also praised for his gun skills. Hu Jingqing wrapped his arms around the officer's neck. "Prepare what I want. Otherwise, he will die." With Hu Jingqing's gun pressed against his temple, the officer said, "If you, Hu Jingqing, really have the ability, then shoot me. What's in it for me if I kill you?" Hu Jingqing dragged the officer out of the dark room. Wow. Moreover, he wanted to take away Ping and Shun, who had Rh-negative blood. Dream on, a mere officer was enough to threaten the base. Ning Shu touched his gun. This was the best way to get rid of Hu Jingqing. If he escaped from the base, it would be difficult to find him. It was hard to guarantee that Hu Jingqing would not rise to power. When that time came, the person who entrusted him would be in trouble. The guards of the base rushed over and pointed their guns at Hu Jingqing. Chapter 2187. Also, Hu Jingqing's subordinates didn't know if they should help Hu Jingqing after seeing him kidnap the commander of the base. If they did, they might lose their lives. However, if they didn't, Hu Jingqing was their leader. If something happened to their leader, how were they supposed to survive in the base? Also, they didn't know what had happened. They went out to find a lot of supplies. One second, they were the heroes of the base, but the next second, their leader kidnapped their commander. The world was changing too fast. They couldn't keep up with the pace. Hu Jingqing, are you trying to rebel? Let go of the commander. Captain Li shouted at Hu Jingqing with a megaphone. He was overjoyed. Hu Jingqing was arrogant. He had some skills, but he didn't care about anyone. Now, he kidnapped the commander who was always nice to him. He was looking for trouble. Hu Jingqing looked at Captain Li with disdain. His disdain for Captain Li was evident in his words. Can you get someone more important? You can't even make decisions for me. Even though he was surrounded, Hu Jingqing still looked calm and relaxed. If it wasn't for the fact that he was sweating profusely, one wouldn't be able to tell that he was nervous. Captain Li's mouth twitched. He didn't know why Hu Jingqing was so arrogant when he was about to die. Another senior leader of the base arrived, and Hu Jingqing stated his conditions. We can let you go, but not Ping and Shun. Ping and Shun can release zombies. Why would we let such a dangerous person out? The leader said. Release zombies? The leader's words caused an uproar. What did he mean? Could Ping and Shun really turn zombies into zombies? Not everyone in the base knew about Ping and Shun. They only talked about it in private. However, most people didn't believe it. How could there be such a strange thing in the world? Hu Jingqing sneered. You're not studying Ping and Shun's ability to release zombies. You're studying Ping and Shun's body? Hu Jingqing looked around and found that everyone was listening intently. He then said, Ping and Shun's body has the ability to— Hu Jingqing, watch your words. No matter how much you say, it's just to cause chaos in the base. Everyone has a place to settle down, yet you insist on stirring up trouble. The officer immediately interrupted Hu Jingqing. Hu Jingqing was a little impatient. He aimed his gun at the officer's arm and shot him in the arm. The officer was in so much pain that his face turned ashen. Ning Shu originally wanted to make a move, but he saw that there were snipers everywhere. It was better for these snipers to make a move. With Hu Jingqing's attitude, it would not be easy for him to walk out of the base today. Besides, she would not allow Hu Jingqing to leave. Hu Jingqing's move shocked many people, and they looked at Hu Jingqing warily. One of the leaders of the base was a man with a strong official aura. He wore a military uniform and was also a member of the military. This base hadn't been attacked by the zombies because it had many soldiers and some secret weapons. Hu Jingqing, don't do anything you'll regret, and don't say anything you'll regret, the leader warned Hu Jingqing. If he told the leader about the serum, the base would probably be in chaos. Hu Jingqing said directly, it's fine if you don't want me to tell you. Bring Ping in here and prepare an off-road vehicle. Fill it with gas and prepare some food and water. Prepare it for him. The leader ordered his men to prepare according to Hu Jingqing's request. What about Ping In? The leader's men asked. Ping In was much more important than an off-road vehicle. Of course, give it to him, the leader said calmly. Also, withdraw the snipers. Hu Jingqing had goosebumps all over his body. He had a feeling that danger was approaching. He knew that there were snipers waiting to ambush him. They would shoot him in the head when he was not paying attention. Withdraw. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. If the leader was so easy to talk to, he wouldn't be a leader. Ning Shu thought for a moment and knew what the leader was planning. He couldn't help but pout. Playing mind games with people in high positions was simply asking for trouble. Ning Shu couldn't help but look at Hu Jingqing with pity. He could get Ping In, but he couldn't guarantee what Ping In would look like. Ping In was pushed over. He was sitting in a wheelchair. His face was pale and he had lost a lot of weight recently. His cheekbones were protruding. There was no flesh on his face. He looked like a monkey. Hu Jingqing was a little sad. He knew that Ping In wouldn't have an easy time in the research institute. However, he didn't want to see him like this. Even if Ping In hid something from him, it was to protect himself. The person you asked for is here, the leader said. Push him over, Hu Jingqing said to Ping In. Ping In didn't expect to be able to leave the base one day and see Hu Jingqing again. However, his current situation, was Hu Jingqing going against the entire base for him? Was he betraying the base? Ping An's sunken eyes were a little hot. Tears flowed through his eyes. It was a little painful. Ping An was pushed to Hu Jingqing's side. Hu Jingqing asked Ping An, "Are you okay?" Ping An smiled bitterly. He was already in this state. His body, "Thank you, Hu Jingqing." Ping An raised his head and said to Hu Jingqing. Hu Jingqing looked at Ping An Shun, his bright eyes filled with gratitude. For a moment he was a little speechless. Hu Jingqing didn't want things to develop to this point. But Ji Ziang made things develop to a point of no return. Hu Jingqing had indeed saved Ping and out of selfishness. It was already the worst-case scenario. Why didn't he plan for more benefits on this basis? Ping An was part of Hu Jingqing's plan. However, Hu Jingqing felt very conflicted when Ping An looked at him like that. The moment Hu Jingqing was distracted, a sniper opened fire, but Hu Jingqing reacted in an instant and dodged the attack. The halo was huge. You cheated. Hu Jingqing hugged the officer's neck tightly. The officer's face was pale because of excessive blood loss. He was in unbearable pain. Although the snipers on the surface had already retreated, there were still some snipers who were hiding in plain sight. If it wasn't for his years of foresight, he would have been dead by now. More and more guards surrounded them. Hu Jingqing had to break through the encirclement alone like Zhao Zilong. He also had to take Ping An, who was dying with him. Chapter 2188. Hu Jingqing's face was getting darker and darker as he hugged the officer tightly. Ping An Shun, who was sitting in a wheelchair, was twitching and breathing rapidly. Hu Jingqing quickly asked, "What happened to you?" Before I came, my blood was almost drained." Ping An Shun couldn't stop gasping. The blood in his body couldn't support his body anymore, and his whole body was cold. What the hell? Did he really give him a dying man? "You can go." Ping An Shun tried his best to release two zombies. As soon as the two zombies appeared, it immediately caused a commotion. Countless bullets were fired at the zombies. The number of bullets was enough to turn the zombies into honeycombs. However, the zombies' skin was stronger than normal zombies. The bullets were embedded in their bodies, but the zombies were unharmed. Ning Shu pulled out his gun and aimed at the zombies' heads. He wrapped the bullets with the power of the sun and shot them, blowing off the zombies' heads. There was another one. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes and aimed at the zombies' heads. He shot again and blew off the zombies' heads. However, the zombies without heads were still very strong. They were still able to hurt people. Because there were too many bullets, even Ping An Shun, who was sitting in a wheelchair, was scanned by the bullets. His body was full of holes. Hu Jingqing took advantage of the chaos caused by the zombies and quickly left. He dragged the officer into the crowd. Looking at the motionless Ping An Shun, his heart was about to explode. These people were too despicable, too despicable. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes and aimed at Hu Jingqing's head. Hu Jingqing seemed to be able to sense the danger. He raised his head and looked in the direction of Ning Shu. Ning Shu stood on the building and smiled at Hu Jingqing's gaze. "Goodbye." Hu Jingqing's scalp was about to explode. The bullet quickly arrived in front of him and was about to enter between his eyebrows. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but he saw that the bullet seemed to explode. Before Hu Jingqing could react, the bullet pierced between his eyebrows. Everything seemed to have stopped. Hu Jingqing had thought that he would die, but he didn't expect to die in Ji Ziang's hands. In his heart, he thought that although Ji Ziang was now awkward and arrogant, he still had him in his heart. But he didn't expect that he would die in his hands. Kill him. What was he chanting now? Was it scripture? Kill him and then release him from purgatory. How interesting. This must be a hallucination before death. Ning Shu wanted to see Hu Jingqing's soul enter the cycle of reincarnation with his own eyes. As for the space inside Ping An Shun's body, when Ping An Shun died, it left Ping An Shun and took Ping An Shun's soul. Ping An Shun didn't even have the chance to reincarnate. He had completely disappeared from this world, and this world no longer had such a person. A pie falling from the sky might not be poisonous, but one had to pay a higher price for it. Perhaps some people didn't care and used their past life to exchange for their current life's fortune and glory. But everything had a price. According to the law of conservation of energy, the loss was proportional to the gain. But sometimes, no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't even get what you wanted. 2333 went to devour the space. When 2333 said that it was done, he asked him, "There should be a lot of souls in this space. These souls haven't been purified. Can you absorb them all?" Some systems and spaces would devour the host's soul. To squeeze the last bit of value out of the entrusted person, one had to give first before taking. 2333. There aren't many souls, just a few. And I didn't want to absorb them. I just collected them. 2333's voice was very weak. I just fought with the space and wasted a lot of energy. I can't do it anymore. Don't change the topic. Everyone who saw it has a share. Give me some of your soul power, Ningshu said. I already said that there isn't much. I can't even fill the gaps between my teeth, 2333 said. Ningshu, it's not little. I can't even get a task taker's soul in one mission. Just now, you got a whole soul and even the source of the soul. You'll be struck by lightning if you keep it to yourself. 2333. 2333 was silent for a while. Finally, he said, when the time comes, I'll share some with you. Ningshu did not believe 2333's vague excuse at all. She asked, then how much are you going to give me? I'm the one doing the quests. Besides, I'm also the main contributor. All you need to do is to come out and reap the rewards when the system disconnects. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have been able to control that space. You have to understand, 2333 said. Ningshu, you don't understand the cause and effect. You said that you needed this kind of thing to increase your strength. That's why I came to do this kind of mission. I don't want to do this kind of mission. Now that you've taken advantage of me, why are you still acting like you don't deserve it? I just want a little bit of your soul power and you're already acting like this. But I've already given you a part of my soul stone. We've been doing this for a long time and you want to keep it all to yourself. Is this right? It's more or less my goodwill. Ningshu and 2333 already had a conflict of interest. It wouldn't be nice for them to fight over a little bit of profit. Her relationship with 2333 was really complicated. They couldn't even achieve a win-win situation like normal business partners. Even if they couldn't, at least it made her feel a little better. The two of them really couldn't go far together. 2333 only saw her as a springboard. He didn't really care about her. Everyone has their own goals. Ningshu didn't want to force him. He couldn't force him anyway. Although forcing him to do it would quench his thirst, why not choose a better one? Ningshu felt that he was looking for trouble again. He knew who 2333 was, but he had to say it out loud. It was so awkward. It's okay. Go and digest the energy. Ningshu didn't want to argue with 2333 anymore. She pretended to be confused and treated it as a favor for saving her life. Even though they were in the same boat, he had saved her life. Although he had spent 500,000 merit points, Ningshu didn't want to fuss over whether or not he had kept 2,333 of them for himself. So be it. 500,000 was enough to buy a life. Didn't we talk about splitting the soul power? Don't you want it? 2,333 asked. Of course, why not? You can give me as much as you want. No matter how small a mosquito's leg was, it was still meat. As for how much 2333 gave him, Ningshu couldn't be bothered. Sometimes, Ningshu couldn't be bothered with things. He just needed to live his life and work hard to become stronger. What he lost today, he would get back in the future in a different way. Ningshu comforted himself in his heart. The law of conservation of energy. Oh, 2333 replied before disappearing. Ningshu holstered the gun on his waist. The farce was finally over. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.